But that's the thing. It's in the Cayman Islands, and then we don't need to worry about it anymore. Nobody else can. Oh, hey guys, what's up? Welcome to our 10K live stream. Let's see. How many people do we have here today right now? Okay, we got 52. That's pretty good. We're not doing bad.
Welcome, guys. We're glad you're here.
Okay, so Maria, Katie, why are we here today?
We are here today because the unimaginable hath happened. We hit 10,000 subscribers, motherfuckers.
We did it. We made it.
Will is gonna have to blur out that motherfucker because it's within the first 10 seconds
Can't.
of the video.
This is gonna be a live stream, so we're done.
No monetization.
We'll be fine, I think. We are monetized by our Patreon, which you guys should all join, but it's a little tacky to shill this early. Yeah, Maria never thought we were going to get to 10K because she has little faith in us. So this is a live stream. Also, live streams are just fun, so we like excuses to do them. We have a couple of fun games planned, I think, and some questions to answer. And thank you all for being here.
Yes, thanks.
I see a lot of our normal people. And that's very cool. Yeah, hey. Okay, so do you guys want to say anything before we get started?
I'm still glowing like an angel, apparently. Look.
Katie is ethereal.
This is true.
Katie is glowing like an angel.
Thank you, comfort zone of the internet. I can't identify who you are personally, but thank you. Thank you very much. I am trying so hard to make the colors normal, but I'm too damn pale.
Yeah.
We all love ethereal Katie. It's true. We're okay. Yeah, so you guys want to say anything?
So like Will said, I was a bit skeptical back when we started that we'd get here, but I also remember saying, you know, if we made it to 10K, I'd know we did it. We would have done it. It would have
You
been
did
the
say
thing.
that too. That's what's funny.
And the funny thing is we're here now, and I'm like, yo, it happened. And so now we're like, what are our next goals? What are the things like we'd like to do? How much growth? And there is a part of me, and guys, tell me if you have this as well, but I'm a little bit scared.
Oh God, yeah. No.
We've had a lot of new viewership lately.
Yeah, in the last like 2 months.
And recently this week, like I don't know why, but we got like 90 subscribers in one day the other day, but on top of that is just people engaging with old videos and being a little, I don't want to say cranky, but like seeing it.
I've noticed some of that too.
And not liking what they see, or like, and I'm just like, please don't be mean to me. I'm just a baby. But at the same time, you say what you will. We are content creators on the internet with that we've agreed to be here, you know. But at the same time, I'm just like, Will made a comment, I think in one of our Patreon live streams, that like if we could just stay little and like
collected in our little nest of lovely little people.
If we could get like 3 times the size we are now, but keep the level of toxicity we had a month ago, then like that would be perfect. I would not want to get any bigger, because the bigger you get, the more toxicity you get, and it's just not worth it.
Ooh, somebody asked Maria, what lip color? I'm going to highlight it because we got to click it. Violet 1629 asked, what lip color are you wearing? I'm wearing a combination of lip colors. I am wearing Anastasia Beverly Hills.
Can we just say that color is literally the best color? I also own it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good on me. I mean,
it's called catnip, but it is very neutral on camera. So on top of it, I wear my special edition L'Oreal Beauty and the Beast that Katie bought me, which is a very nice red color, and together they create this nice little moment.
So right now she's a little bit green. So because of the camera.
And what Will means, because comfort zone of the internet says, can you remind me of the toxicity you're talking about? Well, so we have in our fan base very little toxicity. Like our fans, for the most part, even if we don't like stuff,
are big old fat dweebs that are sweet little crocheters and painters and shit that I love.
Okay, hush. But we can put out a review of a book that they loved and we don't like it, and a lot of them will either just go, nope, not for me, I'm gonna take this one, or they'll go, I'm gonna watch it anyway and enjoy it because I can still engage. And so there's this really like fantastic camaraderie, and even like I don't know, like it's just safe.
Maria,
yeah.
Currently knitting. What did I say?
We got knitters. We got a lot of writers.
I wish I knitted.
And so yeah, it's that we have a relative lack of toxicity. Our fans come to us in good faith. They take, like, if Will makes off-color joke, they've stuck around long enough to know Will is just being dumb and making a joke, and that he actually
He's not
is not
being dumb. He's
I don't-
playing the straight man, not straight man.
I also don't like those jokes, but I can't stop making them, so I appreciate everyone suffering through with me. One of the things I mentioned about my moderation policy in terms of the comments is, like, it's okay to disagree. It's even okay to disagree kind of a lot, but there's a difference between disagreeing and acting in bad faith or being rude, and that's the kind of stuff I don't love. We get that on our Iron Widow videos. Also, just like bigoted behavior is not okay, and that's the kind of toxicity. I think mostly the big toxicity is just not extending good faith. And
There's a difference between making it a personal attack versus like not, I don't want to say academic, that's kind of a heavy word, but like a discussion, you know? Like, I was just watching Dr. Mike the other day, and he was interviewing a doctor that was promoting that vegetables aren't good for you. And he, like, severely dislikes this man, but throughout the entire discussion, he, like, keeps even keel, and he just asks genuine questions. So that's, like, the difference, you know? It's, like, discussion based and enjoyment of finding somebody else's perspective and, like, critical discussion versus, like, being personally hurt by it, which I fully understand too. It's because, let me tell you, didn't want to share, as I previously stated, Gideon with anyone.
I think also it's like you can see us on screen. We sometimes disagree quite strongly, but it never quite gets, like, we're never really mean or toxic about it. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about in terms of toxicity. So Comfort said, does it matter that Will is straight? So when she says straight man, that's an English term for, like, the person in a comedy who doesn't act wacky, and it contrasts with people who are wacky. I am straight, remarkably so. One might say that. Ultra straight, some might say, but that's what they
Yeah, when we
That's
say
what
the
I mean.
straight man, it's a trope
Comedy term.
in comedy. But I will say, what does seem to come up a lot is people think Will is white a lot. Like, they think he's he's got
You
the
are white
capacity.
passing. You are white passing.
erasure.
Yes.
Well, I am in South Florida.
Yeah.
Like, my aunt, who looks mostly like me, but has, like, curly hair, went to the South, and they kept asking if she was black, because, like, yeah, race in America is very race everywhere is very complicated and not as uniform as people on the internet like to flatten it to, so that they can score points here and there. Sorry, I'm gonna get off my soapbox and not complain about leftist Twitter. Yes, but that's kind of what I mean in terms of, like, it's funny because, like, in fanfic, it's generally understood, like, you don't comment anything negative because it kind of hurts the person's feelings, and this is for free. And this is different because we are putting ourselves out there, we are stating some pretty strong opinions, but at the same time, like, there's just some toxicity. I mean, you see some communities and the people in them are just, like, vile. S Black says it's okay, he was just born that way.
And it's just a lot. It's because you have to also, like, keep in mind that, I mean, Will, he puts a lot of work into this, so there's that. And then Marie and I have, like, full-on 40-hour day jobs and, like, families and, like, a ton of responsibilities trying to keep up with. So any type of, like, I mean, some negativity is fine, but what we're talking about is worrying about a wave of it, and then it, like, ruining this one, like, aspect of our lives that's, like, really fun together.
Fun.
And the other problem is it dissuades conversation from everyone else as well. Once a certain level of toxicity is achieved, it has a stifling effect, which I don't want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just we've engaged with people who have put comments disagreeing with what we've said, and, like, that's absolutely fine. We literally had Gina on to Mistborn, knowing Gina would completely disagree with most of what we were saying with the Mistborn.
As a fan.
And there are times when, like, I know coming into a video, Katie and I are on two completely different spectrums of it, and so disagreement we never shy away from. It's just the moments where it feels like it's getting a little, like, Iron Widow flashbacks. I'm very I guess scared.
We have greetings from Russia.
Das vidanya. That's the only one I know. Also, very quickly, will you be bringing back the Patreon tier that includes the line items from
William.
No, I found them too stressful to do, and to be honest, I kept putting them off, which I don't. I really don't like letting other people down, and so it really bothered me when I would put them off, and then they're just hanging over my head, and I just don't. I don't love them. I prefer to do, like,
that's
another.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Will, go.
Yeah,
You
interrupting a
currently
man.
No. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
No, I currently prefer doing, like, if I had to, I would just prefer doing an extra video live stream a month, like critiquing a chapter or something. I think that would be a better use of my time, and I would like it.
Yeah, I could see that too. That's one thing I've encountered since I got my new job is that I can't I keep putting things off, and I that's like so unprofessional. So anyone who I've been working with who's been waiting a while, I highly apologize. It's really hard to balance that with all the everything else going on. So after I finish what I'm with right now, I'll no longer be doing it. At least maybe, or if I do, maybe once a month. It's because it's bad constantly emailing someone and being like, can I have another month?
I hate it. I hate it more than anything in the world. I could make so much money doing custom conversions for Warhammer because I make tabletop miniatures. For those who don't know the deep lore of the channel, and like, there's so much money in there, but I can't do it because it kills my creativity. I just feel uncomfortable with it, and it's just kind of a thing. But yeah, a couple of people have put people are just saying very nice things. Oh, Rich S wants to know, will this channel get an OnlyFans account?
Yes,
That's
we
a
already
10.
have
That's
one.
a
Go check out Will's.
that's a 20,000 subscriber goal of ours. We'll open one then,
We'll do
and that will
feet.
be.
Classy feet.
Trust me, you're gonna be
Feet
glad
with
those are behind a
teacups.
paywall.
Feet with teacups.
Feet
with
in teacups.
Okay, that's
Feet
you, Maria.
in-
Maria, everyone, just as a side note, for a little delicacy, just to wet your palate with, has beautiful feet. And I don't think feet are beautiful. Maria has beautiful feet.
I've never noticed.
You're welcome, Maria.
I've literally never looked.
Thanks.
This
That's
my-
not going to come back to haunt me ever.
Oh, it was such a bland comment. It's fine.
I mean, that's the thing is like, and that's a perfect example of the toxicity. We are not at a stage as creators where like the girls have to wear socks all the time because people will screenshot their feet and put it on a wiki,
No.
which happens with like, a lot of streamers have to deal with like just a constant sexualization. And like, we're not at a stage. We're really just like, I really do feel our Discord is just like people who like to hang out, not like just fans, you know what I mean? And that's, thanks for telling us, I guess.
Sorry, I will. It's a compliment. God damn it.
Yeah, and so that's
a weird place to compliment feet on.
yeah, it's fraught is basically what it is. It's a fraught place to do it.
It was on topic. It's not like I just came out of the room and was like, "Oh my god, you guys have to know."
It organically came up. But that's kind of the thing. We're at a stage, and it's interesting because like on the one hand I am sort of I'm thinking about the channel going forward and what direction I want to take it in, and I haven't really talked with the girls too much about it, but like the thing about it is that the way we do reviews is actually, I think, counterproductive to our growth, because if you look at every other booktuber, this is not what they do. They don't do an hour and a half long podcast of a book review. They do like, this is the topic I'm thinking of, or this is a tier list, and like I get that in that like that's probably a more effective way of doing it, but at the same time, like, this is our niche. I really like doing it this way. And also, like, I would like the channel to make like 3 times as much money as it does now. But other than that, I'm okay with our size.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, like, I don't know. And the other thing is, like, a lot of our we have some like really strong fans, and like that is, I think, really valuable, and they seem to like what we do. So it's like, do we want to like keep the sweet core of the onion, or do we want to try to expand or
Yeah.
whatever? And that's something I've been thinking about lately.
And this stuff, I mean, if there was a point, like we've talked a couple times about stuff that are like goals for us in the future, and they're things that I think would still stay within the core of what we do, but just in a slightly different format, like video essays. That's just a time problem. Like it's hard to do the level of research, organization, recording, editing that I think long form video essays would take, that I just don't think any of us have time for, but is something that I myself personally would love to do somewhere down the line. But unfortunately, I don't know if we'll ever get to that point, because to do the video essays would be a level of growth and a big enough size that I don't have to work 40 hours a week to be
That's
able
the
to
whole thing.
fund that. And that means we're big enough to like engage with a much bigger audience, which is
I think we should do book hauls, but we'll do them from the library and hide the part that says they're from the library so that we don't actually have to spend money on all
That's
the
really
books.
hard.
Because
Have you ever tried to take the stickers off of?
we're not taking it off. We're just hiding it like in our hand or like AI.
It's very
hitting.
hard. It's like all over a book. Also,
AI tech.
somebody from France and the Philippines have both commented saying hi. I just
Yay!
wanted to point that out.
Yeah, the Philippines lady is always doing chores, which is like so cool because that's how I listen to podcasts. Or I did before I listened to audiobooks, and now that's how I listen to audiobooks.
Also, somebody at work literally told me, they were like, yeah, you guys should probably reduce your videos down to 30 minutes. I was like, nah, it's not going to happen. I like what we do. If people don't like it, they don't have to. If we don't get a lot of growth because of that, we'll figure it out. If it doesn't work, then it shouldn't work. You know? Like, then we're not accruing the right people.
If H Bomber guy can make a
4-hour
4-hour video, and again, it's a video essay, which is different than just listening to a conversation for an hour and a half. But if he can do that, our hour and a half, hour 40 videos are fine. It'll be fine.
We have UK, of course, but there's a large pod.
There was
Poland.
Poland, yeah, we got actually people from all over the place.
It's pretty fun.
Austria. One of my great grandfathers is from Austria, actually, on the white side. Okay, yeah, no, so like that's something I've thought about, but I think, and the thing is the channel is sustainable right now, in terms of like putting the effort we put into what we get out from it. And I think, we are making a difference for the people who like it. And like everyone here in the comments is saying that they really like the long videos and how we do it, but that's sort of a self-selection bias. You are the people who stayed around.
We have someone
Cyprus.
from Cyprus. That's
Yeah,
where
we
Maria's
also
family's from.
the Netherlands, Uruguay, Greece, South
South
Africa.
Africa, Norway.
I think there was the Czech.
Oh yeah.
Limburg isn't here to represent Sweden, but she's in our hearts. And Australia, Canada, Quebec. Yeah, it's funny because about half of our viewers are from the US, but I think, the hardcore viewers are kind of from around the world. So one thing I did think it would be fun to do is, because not a lot of people know the deep lore of how we all met and how the podcast started. So I thought that would be a good story to tell, and then we can go on from there to some questions, and then I have a game I think would be kind of fun for us to play, and yeah.
Side note,
So-
real quick. It just said, Maria, somebody mentioned you're kind of quiet. I don't know if you want to do anything or if you know how to do anything about it. I just thought I'd mention
It's
it.
funny because to me she sounds loud, actually.
Yeah,
But
the person was saying you and Will sounded different.
Are loud?
I haven't seen my name come up.
Oh,
No,
it
it's
was
just
it was a long time ago. It was like way up there. But you're always soft. Like, and look, guys, at some point, if we can, we'll get on top of these things. But
I use the same mic Will does. It's the exact
Yeah.
same one.
I
it's the settings though, probably.
yeah, you have your gain all the way up to the top.
No, it's down now.
Oh, it must be mirrored. Okay, yeah, it's mirrored for me then.
This is the top.
No, you just got quieter when you did that.
But that's the problem. I'm too quiet.
Now you're even.
Okay.
Oh God.
Yeah, go ahead and move it up. That's fine. No, anyway, Phoenix says, Phoenix. Shout out to the cam setup making it look like Maria and Katie are sharing a microphone, especially when Katie leans in. That's very funny.
I think you said that before. That was really funny. Aw,
Aw.
Rich.
Thanks, Rich. That's awesome. Thanks
Thanks,
for the
guys.
$5 US. Will is loud, then Katie, then Maria, which is weird because to me, Maria sounds very loud. Again, if this was a recording, I would even it out in editing. But this is what
wow.
we've got for right now.
Ohio, Chantel. Ohio. I'm so sorry.
Tone of
You're lost.
shame.
Shame.
Yeah, shamed is from the third world country known as Texas.
Oh yeah, that too. God.
Okay, so you guys met first, so that's probably where we should start our deep lore.
I am the glue that brought this podcast together. And if anyone ever says anything different, I want you to know there's no way it would have happened without me. None.
The vector,
no
vector,
shit.
not
Will
the
and I
final
bring-
product.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Also,
I-
podcast. If we're thinking way hardcore in the back, yes, of course. But if we're thinking within the realm, it's all Will. You got to give props to Will. God damn it!
But I am the crucible that brought us together.
You're the
Without
meta
me,
lover
you
or whatever it is
two
in a poly
would
relationship.
Never have met you potato.
I think we would have.
Anyway.
I think we would have found a way to each other.
No. So
Probably
the
on like
origin-
weird anime forum, but go ahead.
The origin story starts with Katie and I. Katie and I went to the same high school.
Can I say the very first instigation of our interaction?
Yes.
So, Maria and I were in the same AP World History class, and that was in our sophomore year of high school, which is we were what age is that for our international people? Like 14, 15? Yeah. And Maria was missing a book by Tamora Pierce, if I remember correctly, and she was about to go to South Africa. And I don't know how the heck I ended up, like, I literally, like, I think eavesdropped on something, and I was like, I have that book, do you want to borrow it? Because, like, I wasn't even a sociable creature, so I don't even know why I reached out. And she was like, oh, that'd be pretty cool. And then we, like, chatted for 5 seconds. I gave her the book, and then we didn't talk for 2 more years.
And also, to clarify, in my freshman year, I was best friends with one of Katie's childhood best friends that she was still best friends with. And I don't know why, but we just didn't connect. It didn't happen. Fast forward to senior year, where we were in a web design class, and
Oh, God,
Katie...
that was awful.
Yes.
Mr. Mumtaz, if I remember his last name correctly.
Yes. And Katie saw me watching, because, like, this class was real fast and loose with actual expectations of assignments and stuff.
The teacher was playing, like,
Call
Halo
of
or
Duty?
COD with the male, I was going to say
Students.
citizens. Students. And all the girls were just really hard at working, making their own website.
You guys could have played COD and Halo as well.
No,
that was called self-segregation.
I watched Korean dramas, and Katie saw me watching a Korean drama about a girl cross-dressing to get into an elite boys' school set in like
Forever Korea.
Like a more ancient version of Korea. And she was like, what this look cool. And then we started
I still
talking.
remember the scene. It was when she was like washing her hands or doing something next to a stream.
By the river. Yep.
And I was so nosy. The second time I also instigated, I was like, what are you watching?
And then we just ended up talking. We ended up partnering on a thing, and then we decided to go into the same AP Psych course for the second half of the year, and like it just blossomed, and we became bestest little friends. There was an assignment where you were supposed to like map
I have
a
it over
future
there.
with someone.
I have it over there. Maybe if I can unearth one day, I'll show it to people.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be like Sorry, I think the problem isn't Maria's mic, but Will's. If Will turned it down, I could turn the YouTube volume up.
Oh.
I was just listening to it, and you two were talking, and you two were fine, so I didn't listen to me talking, but I'll move the thing away, and we'll see if that works out better.
Okay. But yeah, so we made a picture book together of our life together, and it was, like, absurd.
Yeah. And so so we were really good friends. Then she abandoned me and went away for college. We had just become friends in the second half of our senior year, and this bitch abandoned me to go somewhere else for school.
North Florida offered me the most money. What do you want?
Abandonment. Anyway, so I go to school, and at my university also attends William, but I don't meet him until my third year in college. I'd come back. I'd gone to Japan for a study abroad, and one of my first classes when I came back was a sci-fi short story course where you were writing and engaging.
Shout out to
short
Swanstrom.
stories. Swanstrom.
Is that your professor's name or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Also,
really liked her.
I would like it to be known that throughout this time, it's not as if Maria and I just straight up dropped off the face of the earth to each other. We literally, I'm pretty sure, talked to each other every day.
Every day.
While you drove home from work, and
Yep.
or not work, school, and when I walked back to my dorm from classes.
Yeah. And we also sent each other care packages. It was real cutesy.
It was actually.
And we were like two manic pixie dream girls, but for each other, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the vibe. But anyway, and I was in this class, and Will was there in the class.
Okay,
And I'm
so
gonna let
here's-
you take.
Here we
yeah,
go,
I'm gonna let you pick up.
Okay, so here's the thing. When I was in college, I was like a friend stalker. in that the first day of class, I'd sit in the corner and like survey the people and be like, okay, who do I want to try to be friends with this semester? Because I was homeschooled and I don't know how to socialize. And so, in this case, I sat there and like Maria was the only person with like good opinions. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit next to her. And then that ended up working out really well because once we started reading everybody else's writing, it was so everybody else's was so bad and hers was like pretty good and decent. And so what happened is, literally, you explain the first interaction as you remember it.
Yes.
Oh,
So
this is funny.
every day I would walk from class down this long hallway, down a set of stairs to the parking garage where my car was parked. And one day I'm doing my little walk, and Will just comes up to me and goes, "That story was shit, right?" And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I was trying to be polite, and I was like, yo, me too. Because like you have to be very constructive in those kinds of courses when you're round robining the story comments. And I had the problem, less so than Will, which you'll think is hysterical. Teachers often had to tell me, okay, Maria, that's enough.
That's enough.
No.
That's enough.
I heard in other classes people complaining about her
you?
in classes.
That
talking
happened
too
in high
much.
school. Everyone in high school knew her as somebody who raised her hand too much. Also, as a side note, Will is the season 2 character in Maria's life.
Yes, exactly.
That's so
And the
funny.
problem was I don't want to say I was smarter, but a lot of times people can miss, like, when you're discussing literature, like the thing, and they'll be like, well, maybe the color blue had to do with this, and I'll be like, no, the baby died. How are you missing this? And the teacher would be like, and like a lot of times I had one teacher take me aside and like, listen, Maria, you're right. Just please, you gotta let other people speak. And I remember young Maria being like, but they're wrong.
That's
and
so
so-
funny. You're me. That's
Yeah.
so funny. That's so funny. That's
See,
why we gel so well,
I-
because like I'm very
But
like
I've
that. We're like,
developed.
if you're not, oh. I actually have a fun thing that I'll show you guys later that you guys may understand how Maria was when she was younger. Really quickly, Phoenix says,
Yeah, I
Will
know.
is the Katie XP character when the studio couldn't get Katie's actions to return for season 2. Oh, that's
That's really
so
good.
funny.
That's really good.
Yeah, and the funny thing about me and Maria is that like we immediately were so platonic, and I don't know quite I've ever been so platonic with a person. Just immediately I was like, "Oh, we're buddies." Like that's so cool. And like
Maria has that effect on people.
No, but like they're actually that's true. They're very rarely are there friends that are like Maria. Generally, it's just like my bud Maria.
I think the way Maria
Maria.
described it once is that she's not mentally ill enough for me, which kind of
Oh,
stand
that
by
took me a
that
hot second to
statement.
process that.
I
Yeah.
stand by that.
Yes, no, you don't have that kind of craziness that then eventually burns me. Anyway, yeah, and then one of the best times I remember is that Maria had a story that was basically like the changeling fairy myth, but with an alien. And so this girl and her teenagehood was beginning to like her back was beginning to crack and like get flaky because there was like wings beginning to come out. And in the scene, her brother was rubbing cream on her back, and in the class I was like, no brother would ever do that. That's so weird. And she's like, no, it wasn't. And we argued about it a little bit. And then on the way back to her car, because I used to walk her there, I'd be like, yeah, I just thought it was weird, the scene where the brother was creaming on the sister's back. And like, you
Shit.
thought that was the funniest. You see, you used to
It
find
is
me
funny.
funny. You
It
don't find me
is
as funny
funny.
now,
I
but it
don't-
was
well,
so.
It's because it's happened like the first few times you hear that kind of joke, you're like, and then you're just like, God damn it, Will, again. You
By
find
the
the
way-
openings everywhere.
Real quick. Hello, Ted Ryan. Welcome.
To your
And then
first live.
also somebody else said congrats. Thank you.
Yeah, and so my first knowledge of Katie was Maria saying that she had a best friend and that she really liked black guys. And that, for some reason, is
William.
what stuck with me. I have a very specific image of Katie from that time period, too, as chubby for some reason, and I don't know
She
why.
wasn't.
I know, but, like, for some reason, like, that was in my head, and I
Will
remember
and
just thinking,
I-
like,
Never saw one another physically for several years, even though we didn't communicate via, like, once we talked a few times on the phone and via Maria, and then I would tell Maria something to tell Will, and Will would tell
sometimes.
Maria something to tell me, and we could have just contacted each other. And then even when we did, we still didn't see visual representations of each other. at all. Even through, I don't even know if we saw photos of each other.
So I did see photos of you. You probably didn't see photos of me because I hate pictures of me. But
Yeah.
I remember basically me and Maria were friends in college, and then she got too busy for me, and then she moved to where she lives now, which is like 4 hours away. But we always stayed kind of in touch. And then what happened is that I was working at a company that was awful, but was pretty easy work.
It
So
will
I got
remain unnamed because we all ended up working there.
Yes, he's telling the story.
working there. And so I got Maria a job there, and then she got Katie a job there, and then me and Katie finally interacted after 4 years of being Maria's best friends, on the different sides of the gender spectrum. And like we immediately became like we trauma bonded and immediately became really close.
And then I left the job, so it was just the two of them communicating daily, and I was doing stuff where I couldn't be because like during that job we all worked from home, so it was really easy to communicate with each other during the day, even on like the company like software, like on Slack and stuff. And so then I left, and then the two of them got really close.
Yeah, it's because
while
we
that
actually were
happened.
discussing things, and we trauma bonded up through the job. The job was bizarre.
Yeah, the job
It
was
was
a
very
very odd
strange.
job.
It was
Yeah,
very
it was-
strange.
But
I'm
and
glad
then
we got fired.
yeah, we got laid off. And then the origin of this podcast is very specifically, I remember. Okay, so I make tabletop miniatures, like I mentioned, and I like to listen to things. And I was running out of things on YouTube to listen to and podcasts. So I was like, let me get into listening to audiobooks because I haven't read basically forever. And I always find I write better when I read. So I was like, oh, and Maria was like, hey, you can just get on my Audible and listen to something. And so I started listening to Spinning Silver. And then about that time too, I was trying to be social. So there's this site called like Meetup or something like that for like different meetups. And one of them was a book club. And they were reading Priory of the Orange Tree, which we have a review of. And I got only about halfway through it because it was just so long. And then I went to the book club and I tried, and like everyone was so insanely dull and didn't talk. And when they did, they were just stupid opinions. And I was like, no, no, this cannot stand. I'm going to start a podcast with Maria and Katie. They are two people I know are smart, and we're going to talk about books smart, and that's going to be the thing. And at the time, Maria was just listening to books constantly all the time. So I was like, okay, that can work. And that is the origin of the podcast.
Voila. Will
And
literally
that-
was just like, you guys want to do just like kind of like a low key, like little group book club, but we record it.
Well, and the funny thing is, originally I was just like, oh, we'll just record the video because like whatever, maybe we'll put up on YouTube and people like people's faces or whatever. But I really did think of it as a podcast. And then we actually now get fairly okay podcast views, but like we're mostly a YouTube show. And there was a very specific kind of shift. If you watch our first like 4 or 5 episodes, I was very much avoiding doing a plot retelling on purpose because there's that whole thing about how like in college and when you're writing papers, you're not supposed to just restate the plot. It's supposed to be about
A
analysis.
discussion. Yeah.
And so sometimes Maria would be like go into recapping it, and I would be like, no, let's go back over. And I would just kind of like move us over there. And then about halfway through, I was like, most people probably haven't read the book that we're talking about. So yeah. And also at the same time, I was watching a lot of AI generated videos of like movie recaps. And I was like, people like to just listen to a plot. And for books, a lot of times it takes so much time. Maybe a lot of people haven't done it. And so I was like, all right, let's shift that. And I think it was Deadly Education.
It was.
our
1 or 2.
our first one that we recapped, the
Savior?
very first one, Savior's Champion.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Savior's Champion, and it to this day remains one of my masterpieces as far as plot retellings. It's so funny. Will and I laughed so hard in that and because sometimes, and this has happened with Katie sometimes, where Katie and I at the beginning of discussing something, she'll be like, it wasn't that bad, and then as I retell the plot, she'll go, you know what, never mind. It was, I like
Look,
it anyway,
I'm
but
trying.
true.
I'm trying to give it a chance, okay? As we'll find out later if we cover the one question Maria just about like shoved her head into her steering wheel last night for when we read one of the questions we might answer, and I told her my answer. She was like, yeah, that look right there. That's how she responded. And I was like, I don't care. Eat it. It's fine.
Yeah, and so what's actually funny also is that the second book the book club had was Piranesi, and I really didn't want to read it because to me it just looked literary and whatever, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And what's funny is years later we read Piranesi, and it's like one of the best books we've read. It's so good.
Actually,
Um,
you guys are right. Murder Hogwarts was before
That's what I thought.
no.
Saviors.
Man, we
No.
should know this.
No. Here's what happened. I remember it specifically. It was in the Deadly Education, the second book, because we kind of ran out of things to say at 30
you're
minutes,
right.
and then you just started recapping it, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. This works better.
Than Savior's Champion, though it might have been Truth of the Divine and Axiom's End, because I remember going into the plot in those.
Yeah.
You did go into Axiom's End because I remember watching it because I didn't finish the book.
Yeah, but I think the one that like made it a staple. So let's say it's not the first, but the one that I think really made it a staple was the Savior's Champion one, because it was just so fun. And then like some of our first year ones are so funny to think back on. The what is the one? The stupid a thousand and one nights.
Yeah,
Oh
the
my God,
Wrath
I
and the
forgot.
Dawn.
Wrath in the Dawn was also a very funny one.
You just took off a scab of a wound in the past.
It's
that was
funny.
actually one of the worst books we've ever read. In my opinion.
I was going through them a while ago looking for little bits that I could cut out as their own little short. By the way, thanks to Lula Salome for the $2. I like plot retellings. Yes. Thanks. And the thing is, funnily enough, it really helps because if you watch our Priory of the Orange Tree episode, which is kind of a roast video before we really finalized the format, and it's still one of our more popular videos, it's hard to follow because we're not recapping the plot. Also, don't go rewatch it because that's back when I used to sit on my chair and I look super degenerate. So don't do that. But what was I saying? Yeah, so that was, I forgot what we were talking about before that.
Oh, go ahead. Mary.
Development going from the shift from just analyzing to retelling the plot.
Yeah.
Changing of the podcast evolution type stuff.
Yeah, and one of the things that's kind of weird about it, because I was again listening to The Wrath on the Dawn, is that like our commentary, again, not to get big-headed, but like it's really good sometimes. Like I would put it on par with a lot of video essays, and yet we put out one a week and then nobody sees them. And so it's like it feels sort of weirdly mournful to me that like nobody's ever going to see a lot of this. Like and even going through our backlog would be crazy hard.
It still kills me that our Annihilation, I still think our Annihilation one is one of the better like ones, and I'm so sad that one, I didn't say as much as I wanted to because of the sound quality I knew I had, and two, the sound quality and video quality I had.
It's bizarre because a lot of people are mentioning the videos that brought them here, and they are like some Cyborg Tinkerer, the Savior's Champion, Iron Widow, like those are the ones that like brought them to us. And it's funny watching because like every once in a while you can tell that somebody's trying to backlog us because like all of a sudden you'll see a lot of comments, and I love it every time that happens, or anyone who watches one of our old videos and comments on it. Like I love seeing that because a lot of our old stuff was like year one we read a lot more books that we liked enough to not like that I would say weren't dislike books. They were either okay or
we wanted to actively read them,
and or even ones where we thought we weren't gonna like them that much, but then it ended up being okay. And so there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of really good analysis, and I agree, Will. Sometimes like, some of that stuff is just never gonna get super seen.
I know. So it's like one of these weird things. But I mean, I think it's also really valuable to, like, one of the things I've noticed is that I'm much more secure in my literary opinions now because, like, I have read so many books. So I'm like, no, I can point you examples of why this is, I can be very specific with my criticisms. And even sometimes, like, some of the people arguing with this in the comments, I'm like, no, we talked about this in the review. That's not what's happening here. One thing, Adressa said is, I'll admit I skip videos because I haven't read the books yet and I don't want to be spoiled, especially if it's a book you guys liked. Yeah, that's a thing I think happens a lot, and something I'm trying to think of maybe what we should do is like try to put the first half of the video as spoiler free specifically, and then in the last half, like I know a lot of people do that. Yeah. I don't know, it's hard because a lot of times when you're talking about a book you need to talk about the entirety of it.
Well, what you could do, honestly, is like, you know how we do our opinions at the beginning and everything? We can do when we give those without context, it's very hard to understand. So just reducing the amount of detail given in the examples and just overall vibes for it for like 10 minutes would probably be helpful.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I actually had an idea back at the early part of the podcast when I wasn't sure that the 2 hour to 2 hour thing was going to work. Is that we would do like the first 30 minutes we would put on like as its own video, and then if you wanted to see the rest, the second half, you would go to like the Patreon or it would be unlisted or something like that. But like we ended up just not really doing that.
Yes,
A lot of people.
Max, there is a pumpkin
Pumpkin
sighting.
sighting. And we have some interesting things to say about that in a little bit. Also, about the Savior's Champion, by the way, I did not think that video was gonna explode like it did. Like, that is, to this day, one of the main movers of our podcast is people finding that video and then subscribing. I had read it, hate read it when I originally read it, and then I wanted Maria to suffer. And then I realized, unfortunately, I had to suffer along with her, which was a tactical mistake.
Very much so. And honestly, the video, so you think there's certain videos that I think of as like key points in the development, and honestly, Savior's sister was massive because that's what skyrocketed us into monetization. Like, we got tons of views and tons of comments and tons of subscribers all at once for that video. And so, like, as much as reading those series was
a drag,
painful, it ended up being really good, and which was the start of like us being like, oh, we're gonna have to read shit we don't like, aren't we?
But it's I'm glad though. It's because like, one, that was gonna happen at like eventually, like through a series of choosing, but also like so many people have mentioned how helpful it's been to go over for their own writing, and I like how that's like, personally, I like how that steered a lot of the people watching us, or not steered, but it's attracted a lot of people that want to get better at writing. So that makes me really happy. It's because one of the larger purposes of me being excited that when Will asked about this and started it is for writing specifically.
Yep.
Chantel said, just watched the Song of Achilles video and A Million to One. Seeing the dawn of William's author jail was so hilarious, as was his Song of Achilles rage. Now, anytime I hear a bad book, I will in my head restitution. I rewatched that the other day. I wish my beard was like a normal person's and not like a cult leader guru in that one. But it's, that I got so mad. I still stand by author jail. I know we can't do it, but like I stand by it as a concept.
You have such strong feelings about that book.
Hatred.
It was like a weak tea for me. Like, I mean, it's kind of like eating a sandwich that has a little bit of mayonnaise. Okay, sorry about the food. I'll stop.
Okay, I was gonna say we can't be here for 10 hours. But yeah, that's, and the thing is, going back to the Savior's Champion, it actually makes a lot of sense that that's such a pipeline for us, because it's basically always the people who find it are people who are Jenna Moressi's fan base and people who have read the book are very on YouTube because they found her through YouTube. And then they're all tend to be writers. And if you clicked on her review, it's because you also didn't like her book. And so you're probably smarter than the other people reading the book who did like it. And so it kind of makes sense. It's a pipeline. I think it's also one of the reasons our community has turned out so writerly, which is not something I expected. I think it also has to do with how we talk about books. We tend to talk about the craft of books. It
makes me so happy. Oh my God, I'm living my dream through this podcast sometimes.
You're welcome.
By the way, side note, William, there's an obvious answer to this. They just haven't seen your little Bubba yet.
Yes, no, I am a dog person. I have my dog Ajax. He's over there right now. He is a potato horse, is what we call him.
He is a potato horse. It's so weird. Yeah. I showed Juan, my husband, your dog, and he was like, "Why does he look like that?"
Especially when he's next to normal dogs, you're like, why is his head so small? No, I love him deeply, even though he likes my mom more. But yeah, I'm more of a dog person. I just I don't need another, like I'm single. I don't need something that's pretty and gonna withhold affection from me in my life. So I don't need a cat. Though honestly, Maria's cats have taught me that cats are so incredibly needy.
As a side note, lore detail, Maria and I co-owned Pumpkin Marmalade, and Data was supposed to even be my cat, but I did not want him. No offense.
That's why he's not named.
She named him.
I did name him. It took
he
me 3
would've-
weeks to name him.
He would have been named Oregano and gotten called Reggie had I named him.
Yeah, no, he became
Reggie
Data
is kind of
because-
cute.
It is, but he's Data, okay? So lore piece there. Do with that what you will.
We have $5 from Courtney Lovett. Binging your videos has been so helpful with my current writing project that's on submission to a few publishing editors.
Oh!
Join Patreon too. Thank you guys. Yeah, I'm actually really glad that it can help people with writing. It's not something I expected, but the thing I wanted from the channel was I think I've talked about this before. There's such a wealth of video essays right now on video games and TV and movies, and people really analyzing the themes and the gameplay and all this different stuff. And then when you come to books, it's so vibe based. It's just like I'm a pretty white lady in front of books that are color coded, and I'm gonna talk about all the books I bought. And
No, don't forget the fairy lights.
I like the book because and fairy lights, and either black or white bookshelves, not wood. It's been 2 years and I still haven't done something with this. And so like I really wanted to do analysis, and that's what I've really always tried to push, and what I think the channel is pretty successful at doing. And I think, I think analysis is really important in terms of I think it's an important skill to be able to analyze literature, because I think there's a certain amount of truth about yourself you uncover when you do that. And I think it helps you understand different concepts in a more complicated way than you would otherwise. And I think that's valuable.
It can also be less polarizing, and like you were literally just saying, it helps you build empathy rather than say politics or like religion and stuff like that. I think literature and art as well, like visual art, is like a really great way to be able to see another perspective and be able to also like figure like what's the word, lance the wound of any like trauma or weird things that you've gone through and be able to process it to some degree anyway. So it's like it's therapeutical, it's like helpful for communication and understand others. Like how many people of color who have published, authors where you've had to read it, at least me personally, where you've had to read and you've been exposed to things you otherwise may not have read, like especially older authors, where you are able to see how like circumstances were pretty freaking wild, and you can understand a lot of other more like you were saying, literally understand more complicated subjects via that personal story, the anecdotal part of it.
And I think being able to engage with media on a deeper level is just important for understanding society. Like people who don't analyze watch Star Wars and aren't like, wow, this fascist regime. They'll just be like, wow, evil empires are bad, instead of being like, wow, fascist regimes head around a sense of uniformity. Like there's no like, what's the lesson we're learning here, guys? What is this saying? How does this apply to like no, this isn't just about an evil empire in space. This is speaking to something at like and so I find media literacy just severely lacking in a lot of things, where people can be a really big fan of something and I'm like, did you miss the implications of it?
I mean, honestly, one of my biggest examples of this, because I still think it's the most prevalent book we've read, is Iron Widow, where like the amount of people who say they have, forward-thinking leftist politics, and we're like, I love this book so much, and I'm like, you have somebody being waterboarded to death in this book, and they give up valuable information. None of you seem to realize that this is a problem, and that itself is a problem. And I get it, because there is a thing, and I should state this, that often when people engage with literature, they and stories in general, they immediately assume the stance that the book wants them to. It's not called the stance, it's the framing that the book wants them to. And until you have somebody be like point something out, you just kind of accept it as part of the thing. And I do that too. I do that all the time. And that's why a lot of times talking about these things is good. So I do understand why sometimes people don't see problematic things in books, but like you should be able to realize that you can't torture bad people. That's not a good thing. Like that's not an okay thing for the protagonist to do. And then that plays into real life. I remember one of the funny things about torture, well, relatively funny things, is that in the military after 24, they had this problem where all the soldiers kept thinking torturing people was really effective, and the higher ups who
No.
had been there before 24 were like, "No, guys, it
No.
isn't. You guys got to stop doing. You got to stop trying to do this. It's really a problem." And so I think that books can be just escapism, but I think understanding them isn't just escapism. I think literacy in them is about ideas, and ideas construct the world.
And don't get me wrong, there are beach reads. Have fun. Who cares? But then also you can have a discussion about it. Like there's nothing wrong with also having a discussion about it. There's two sides, you know? Like you can it's not a big deal to read Dante's The Inferno and be like, "Wow, this is pretty cool hellscape. I'm kind of into this." And then there's also no problem being like, "Oh, here are the political allegories and blah 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 blah."
Yeah, it's and I think that's good. I think in general being smarter is good, less than being
Really?
less
You
smart.
don't say, William.
I know, and I will die on this hill.
So a funny thing with Iron Widow, we had a comment recently that said that there was a YouTube short or a video short that where the author confirmed that for them, the main character Zetienne is a I think that was her name.
Mhm.
The main character is a villain. It's a villain protagonist, not a hero protagonist. And again, I don't think the narrative is telling you that.
Will made a very good point. What book was it that we did it on?
The book wouldn't burn. This book wouldn't burn.
The book that wouldn't burn. Will, if it's not already published yet, which I don't think it is, right? Or is it? Yeah. When it does come out, I highly recommend anyone who
I'm gonna
wants
cut
an
that into its own video, I think, because it's actually
should.
such an important
It
thing.
is. That's actually one of the best things that has ever been said on this podcast. It's because I feel like
Also, clocks don't have gears they don't need.
yes, you're quite the fucking philosopher, aren't you? But I literally was telling my husband, everyone, how jealous I am of Will because he like has been self-educating himself even more after college, and how like I feel like the dumbest out of the three because Maria has her master's, Will still pursues knowledge, and I just barely make it through the day.
No. This is just yourself, whatever talking. I just read
Okay,
a lot of random things
but-
on the internet.
My point is though, is that Will made literally, I think, the best point on the podcast when it comes to like a lot of people's complaints about like that what Maria was just saying about the villain protagonist thing. He makes a great point when he cuts the short. Please go enjoy it. It's a very good concept.
Yeah. No, I wanted to argue with that comment too, but I just don't want to engage more with that book and series and author, especially because everybody loves them so much.
What's Maria's nationality? She looks so much like a Greek. Man, you hit that shit on the head.
African American.
No.
She's
She
from
is
South
Greek.
Africa, which is the joke. But
Yes,
yes,
but
she's
she is
Greek.
Greek. You are correct. Very Greek. Very heavily Greek.
I don't know if you ask most Greeks, they don't consider Cypriots Greeks. So
It's Cypriot is how it's pronounced. But so yes,
Cyprea.
no. Yes, also somebody had asked way earlier. Yeah, my mom's Colombian, so I'm like half. And
Why
it's
isn't
like,
anybody asking me about my nationality?
you're clearly Irish, okay? And the funny thing is,
European.
I don't think you're even Irish. I think technically, what is it? You're like
It's
German?
literally no. It's literally like with the little DNA thing. It's like 72% Northern Ireland,
Yeah.
and then the rest of it's like Germany, Finland, and then I'm just like, okay, that wasn't surprising.
Europe.
Europe.
Aw, Jasmet says, thank you for being my comfort podcast. Your commentary has
Aw.
changed how I reflect on the books I read and expanded my understanding of writing.
Aw.
Thank you. Again, that's really just all we want. And that's one of the things is like we're we're a tiny channel, let's be real. Like we're tiny even compared to
We're a
other
little baby
booktubers.
channel.
But I'm glad that we have such an outsized impact on people. And I'm glad and I hope that we can keep doing that.
Me too.
I think we will. Again, I think the podcast is pretty sustainable at this point. I do think maybe if we get burned out, we could fall back to doing like 3 a month instead of 4 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking of releasing a few of the critique videos me and Katie have done now that it's almost been a year. But I'm gonna ask people on that
Patreon.
tier what they think of it
Yeah,
first.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think I have a lot of thoughts about the channel. As you guys can see, I think about it a lot. It's a lot of my day. A lot of I do a lot of community management, which is weird because I never thought I
Will is the
would.
moderator.
Will is
Yeah.
mama hen.
Yeah.
Literally, I like you have never had more of a mama hen vibe than via this.
And I want to
That's
say
so funny.
so I think when people watch our videos, they think Will is the way he is in the videos with everything. But let me tell you, the nuance, like if you read the posts that Will has made about, you know, how
Oh,
to
I know. They're
communicate
so
effectively
beautiful.
on the Discord, how to engage with respect, making like taking things at good faith. Like they're so like nuanced
like-
and sweet, and it's just goodness.
It's like poetry. No, it's
hashtag
literally
goodness.
No, I shared that post with several coworkers as well as Juan, my husband, again, if you have not already known that. And literally every single person was like, wow, that was very beautifully worded. And I was like, yeah, it was.
Well, thank you guys. That was really just the stuff I've learned being
Will is
Will's
mother.
mother. Will has a mother who is mother. Papa or Mama Will.
Oh, Mama Will is like, I have never met her, but man, what a cutie pie.
She's
She
as
really
someone
likes
who
you,
has
so.
met her. She is absolutely adorable. She must be protected at all costs.
So
Will
don't
is
talk about
ruggedly
sex.
handsome poem. Hey, I just, that's what happens. Yeah, the thing is, it's funny because as I've gotten older, I'm 33 now, I think, or 34. No, I'm 33. I feel a lot wiser than I was younger, which isn't to say I'm wise, but like I've just learned a lot of things, and like that post was just trying to reflect how we talk on the podcast and how I always try to make sure we're having like a good conversation. It's funny because one of my cousins and uncles was arguing the other day about something, and I was like, this is a bad conversation. Like I professionally have conversations, and this is a bad one. Neither of you guys are making good points, and you're not hearing each other, and you're not even letting each other speak at the appropriate times. You're unclicking, and so that's something that I think that's another thing that the podcast can teach. One thing I remember is I used to listen to the Seppenwall and Iceberg podcast where they would discuss books or TV shows, and one of the things they would always say when they like were done disagreeing is they go, "That's fair." And that's something you guys have probably heard me say because I liked that so much of like, we have disagreed and we continue to disagree, but I see your point. That's fair. And so I always think that's a really good way of not necessarily disengaging, but putting a cap or disengaging. And so like, I think hopefully, not that we're the best exemplars of how to have conversations, but I think hopefully we can teach something.
No, Katie's learned how to not shut down in the middle of a conversation and randomly feeling personally hurt by a comment. Again, I was being like what I said earlier is poignant because I literally have gone through it. So being able to have a conversation where you disagree but also not take it personally is really important.
Absolutely.
Shall we get into any of the festivities?
Yes. How many things did you guys have planned? Because I have a couple things
Oh, I
planned.
have nothing.
My thing goes with one of the questions in the
Yes, I think we should do that first because it's important.
Did you make a PowerPoint or some shit?
I tried, but then when I restarted my computer I made a PowerPoint on Canva. My computer glitched really hard. It wouldn't connect to the camera. It wouldn't connect to anything. And when I shut it down and opened it, all I have is the first page in the Canva. Like it's just gone.
Are you sure? Because Canva should be auto-saving as you're going through.
I
It must have
one page.
disconnected earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, that
no, I think that is what
sucks.
happened because my computer like was just I couldn't like drag pictures in. It was real rough. But anyway, I have the pictures and I shall walk you through the things.
That's too bad.
So one of the questions we got on our
This is a very important, everyone, keep your ears perked. Very important detail about to be given.
we got a question saying, can we get some definition on which of Maria's cats are which? Because I have Data, the black cat, who is obviously very recognizable, but then I have two ginger girls, and so I would like to share with you
Who are biological sisters, by the way.
Yes, they're sisters. Well, I don't think I've ever done a screen share. How do I do a
Present
screen
is
share?
at the bottom.
At the
You
very
press
bottom.
present and then share
got it.
screen. Yeah.
Share screen.
And then it'll ask you which tab.
I don't want to do any of the tabs. I want. Okay, we're just gonna do the entire screen.
Aw, that's cute. Well,
Yeah, Nelsie Geographo said, it's my company podcast when I'm painting like right now. Congratulations to the three of you. I still remember how excited Maria was when you guys reached 500 subscribers. We were so excited when we had like
I was.
14 and we knew three of the people who were subscribed.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Okay. 1 second, guys.
Hey, that was a big accomplishment for three people who are just like doing.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Don't make comments on how many tabs I have.
Oh,
That was
God.
Look upon these angels. This is
You need to zoom in a
pumpkin,
little.
Yeah,
will.
zoom in.
But I want the size comparison for now. So
No, that's a
this-
good amount.
This
Yeah.
larger one is pumpkin, and this one is marmalade.
They're making a
pumpkin-
heart. What the
They
fuck?
are.
I know,
Look how
they
cute
do
they
that
are.
all the time. I have several pictures of them in this specific formation.
They're very cute. They're sisters. They sometimes argue, but they sometimes like to snuggle. And this was one of those instances. And the thing is, pumpkin is vastly larger than marmalade.
She is like, as we've all agreed, the warrior queen of the pair, and then Marmalade is the dainty princess.
Yes. If you ever look at one and think, wow, that cat looked like it ate a pumpkin, it's probably pumpkin.
Oh.
If you look at it and you think, wow, what a pretty orange cat, that's marmalade. Like that's step one. Number two, I'm gonna zoom in closer.
Oh gosh, the nose thing. Nobody ever
Their
pays attention
noses-
to your nose thing.
I'm sorry, it's true.
Oh.
Marmalade has a very brown nose. Pumpkin has a pinky nose. Like, and I will show another photo for proof of Pumpkin's pink nose. Look upon the pink nose.
Gosh,
Okay.
she's such a pretty cat.
Oh,
The other
yeah,
thing
I
is,
should have
Pumpkin
sent you the
has-
official picture. Like, you remember how I took a picture with my my Canon
Camera?
camera? I
Yeah.
should have sent those for you.
So the other thing is, Pumpkin has a mane that is very nice and bushy. They're both part Maine Coon, but Marmalade has significantly less of a mane. She's more of a nice little princess. Marmalade's eyes slant up a
Ooh,
little
very
bit,
evil.
versus Pumpkin's, whose eyes are much rounder. She's got much rounder eyes.
Oh.
Marmalade is very slanty-eyed. Okay, so these are the differences. And again, if one looks just like a cute orange cat, Marmalade. If it looks like a honking good girl, like oh Lord, she coming, it's Pumpkin.
Oh Lord, she come. Yeah, no, we adopted both these ladies once we were in our apartment together for about 6 months or so, or something like that. Oh, that's a good picture for size comparison.
Yeah, you can see
Jesus.
Pumpkin ate a pumpkin. Marmalade is just a cat, and like Marmalade's not a small cat by
Yeah.
any
No.
means.
That's
Wait,
Go ahead.
Which of them is the older?
They're both the same
They're-
age.
Same litter.
They're same. I was gonna say twins, but same litter. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
they're.
I forgot. I temporarily forgot. That's how animals have children. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, wait, second. Hold on a second before I continue. Wrong one. Yeah, Marmalade does look judgmental, and Pumpkin does look like the nice one. That is actually an accurate statement.
That's so funny.
But we went to the Humane Society, and they were already 2 years old, and we were thinking about getting a cat that actually had a neurological problem, and tap danced with their hind legs, and it was so adorable, and the cat was so sweet, and we were like, yeah, he's so, or I think it was a he, that he's so cute.
It was a she.
Oh, well, my memory shit. So anyway, we were gonna do that, but then we went into the open enclosure, and then Marmalade came right up to me, and she's so soft, everyone. She is the softest cat
Yes.
I've ever felt in my life, and I was like, oh my god, there's two of them. And then the lady's like, yeah, they're sisters, and I'm
Well, no, we thought Pumpkin was a boy.
Yeah, we did.
Just looked a little bit more warrior-like.
Butch.
And so
Yes.
we thought it was a sister and a brother. And originally their names were Pretty over here and Cream. Why they didn't go Peaches and Cream, I will never
Oh,
understand.
that's so cute.
Yeah.
So dumb. I'll never understand it, but we hated those names, and so thus we have Marmalade and Pumpkin. Pumpkin was easy. We got her name immediately because
it took a hot
she
second
just-
for Marmalade.
Yeah, we went through Toast as an option.
Oh wow, we did. We almost called her Toast or Jam. Shit.
Yeah, there was a lot of options, but we have our gorgeous Punk.
And
she's-
Marmalade.
And you can also see, again, one has a light nose and one has a dark nose. Heckin' dark nose, little light nose. And yeah, they're sweethearts. But anyway, those are my cats.
Is that your
Okay.
TED
That's
Talk?
how you can see them. I had these in PowerPoint format, in a Canva, but Canva hates me, so ta-da!
Okay, that's actually very useful for me because I often have trouble
You have
telling them
never been
apart in
able to get on
person.
top of it, so I'm very glad that was helpful. I feel like you had a sudden burst of clarity with that nose thing.
The nose thing I'm going to be able to remember. The problem is that I know one is much larger than the other, but the thing is, if they're not next to each other, they both just seem very large. Like,
Yeah.
again, Marmalade is not a small cat. She still is very, like, large and leonic looking.
Wait a second.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
That's so funny. Eden asks, is Marmalade just shy because I think we see more Pumpkin? Yes. Marmalade is generally more off to herself. Like right now she is in the hallway sleeping on her favorite cat scratcher. My data's up and about, but Pumpkin, and it's so funny because during the day when I work, Marmalade's the one behind me 90% of the time, but every time we do a recording,
Camera shy.
it's this one over here.
It might be
behind-
the noise. It might be that she just likes the noise more than Marmalade.
And the thing is, Marmalade in general is like Pumpkin is needier. She's louder. She like will yell at you to pet her. And,
she scrunches her nose when she's happy. Like she's the only cat I've ever seen who is like.
She goes like that when you scratch under her chin. And the funny thing is, my boyfriend loves Marmalade the best because she is so unassuming. She rarely comes and asks for attention. So when she does, you just want to lavish it upon her because she's like, I'm here. And you're like, oh, this is a blessing. And she's so cute. Versus Pumpkin, who's like, give me attention now.
Now, for
That's
clarification, everyone, I also have 2 cats. Well, I have a cat and a gremlin and a dog, and then Will has a dog. So now we are all clarified on our animal.
Yes.
There we go. Yes. You mostly only ever see my dog on live streams, and then I cut out because the rest of my room is very messy for the actual video. So that's a Patreon exclusive. Okay. The other game I thought it would be fun for us to do is if we played F, Marry, Kill. With 3 characters I've picked for each of us. But instead of like me picking the F, Marry, Kill, you 2 have to pick for me which one it is, and we'll do it like that.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait. So we have to assume what you would pick?
And then we'll see
just
like
make our yeah.
which one would be best for us. All right, so let me share screen. I don't think it'll take super long, but I thought it would be fun.
Now, because I'm really dumb, I'm going to reiterate.
And
we are
always
choosing what we would want you to F, Marry, Kill.
And as always, I want to bear in mind that if you see something on my screen, I've been having trouble with hackers lately. And that
Have
was
you
just
really?
what's happening. No.
Oh my god.
you fuck. I like that you put photos. I want to see the photos. Oh my god.
Well, guess who's first up?
Cat
Is it me?
Oh
No, this is Katie. I decided trash men for Katie because she is likes not that she is trash, but she likes trash men. So Maria, we have
Oh my god,
Cassian,
this is a great option set. Thank you for making this one for me.
Tamlin, and Rysand.
Okay.
Here's my initial thoughts. Oh, you go with your initial thoughts, yeah.
No, you go first. I'm interested to see.
I think initially Cassian is Mary.
I agree. That was my also. You explain yours, and I shall.
Because he's the one non-abusive one, but he's kind of like a puppy at times. And again, we haven't read the 4th book, so this is just from the first 3. He'd show Katie a good time. He knows what's up. Yeah. Marry Cassian, Tamlin, kill Rysand.
Honestly, Idrissa, that is exactly what I was going to say. Killing Rysand mainly because I want to kill
Fuck
Rysand.
that guy. He's
Fuck
abusive.
That guy.
Tamlin, I actually could see. Here's the thing: is that we need to put him in the fuck and not the marry because I could see Katie kind of being into his like pathos. You know what I mean? His like sadness and like I think no, you fuck him. That's good time. She, whatever, and then we go and marry the actually healthy option. Do you agree then?
I would agree. I would agree. Katie, your thoughts?
It's literally exactly what I would have picked. The only thing is literally what Will said. I might have married Tamlin if I could just like reorganize his storyline a little. But yeah, no, Cassian's definitely the marry because Cassian's like the only normal like of these three that isn't like emotionally unhinged.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's true. So, okay, and so the next one is me and Katie get picked for Maria
Oh, boy.
Novikman.
Oh, but
Naomi
the problem
Novikman.
is I don't. You're gonna have to give me a little bit of background on some of these.
No, you read some of Temeraire, right? And you read Spinning Silver, and then Sarkin is the only one you haven't. But
Yeah,
I
that's
can
what I
tell you
mean.
about him. So between Lawrence and the Stark King, I couldn't remember his name. What are your thoughts initially between those two?
Oh, well, she'd definitely marry Lawrence, and probably I don't know Sarkin, so it's kind of hard to tell you like the difference between the two. But then I'd say fuck the Starkin King. It's sorry, F.
So
F
this
for
is
Stark King.
yeah. I would well. Okay, here's the thing. I would say Lawrence for Mary for sure.
Oh,
right?
100%. Like
So much-
Jane Austen.
He like he's stable. He's stable. He has a really strong moral compass.
He has a
We get to
dragon.
He has a dragon. That's true. He comes with Temeraire, which is smart. And also we see him in some intimate scenes, so Maria would be kept happy. It's not like it's all boring. Here we go. And then the Stark King. So Sarkin is like, he's kind of like Howl from Howl's Moving Castle.
What's he from? Uprooted or something?
Yeah.
Uprooted.
He's like Howl is how I tend to think of him. He's a little bit like flighty, mage, pretty boy. Would you agree, Maria?
Very, very grumpy. Like if Howl was a grumpier old man in a young man's body.
Oh,
but
God.
besides that, very, very
Okay, I
accurate.
changed my opinion.
Okay,
You
what
would
do you think?
marry Sarkin, you would F Lawrence, and you'd kill the Stark King. I don't know.
Okay,
That's my
so
next
here's the
guess.
thing. Here's the thing. I think Maria would probably
No, I take it back. I take it back. F Sarkin, marry Lawrence, kill Stark King. There you go. That's my final answer.
I think that's what she should do. I think she's gonna want to F the Stark King, but I
I
think what's
know.
best for her is if she kills him.
Yeah, that's what's
and then
best.
and then if she just goes to that tower for a little bit, has a good time, and then leaves, because I think
problem is-
either of these two are not great. Well, no, I think her and Sarkin could actually work it out, but Lawrence
Well,
has 10,000 pounds.
The
So
problem
as
is that Sarkin sounds
100%.
like basically several of Maria's boyfriends in the past. So,
do you remember
however,
the jeans boyfriend? I hated him.
who's the jeans?
He wore like tight jeans all the time.
Are you talking about the young man? Like when she was young? They really like
No, it's the one she had right before she moved up to where she is now.
oh,
I didn't like him.
I know you didn't.
Ugh.
Sam?
I don't remember his name. I never
not
remember
gonna-
any of
I-
their names.
all
I also
of them
didn't.
wore jeans.
No,
I'm
he
very
wore tight
confused.
jeans and like those tight slim shirts that you put into jeans. I didn't like that. I didn't like the Norse guy either.
Well, I didn't like the Norse guy either.
Yeah, well, he was shitty.
He was.
Okay, so this is. Are we agreed on this, Katie?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if that's
Maria,
what she'd pick, but
your
that's what I'm
thoughts.
assuming.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what we're doing for her.
Obviously, Lawrence is Mary.
Yes.
Top
Okay,
tier,
good. Yes.
absolute marriage material. I love
course.
Lawrence, 100%. Mwah, perfection. Could not ask for better.
I'm so
Um,
curious on your answer on this one though.
The thing is, I like Sarkin as a character too much to want to kill him, but I would want to fuck the Stark King more than
I know.
Sarkin.
I know.
never
I
want-
know.
Like the thing is, I think I would choose like despite my urges, I would choose to kill the Stark King because
My
Sarkin's a
urges.
good guy. But let me tell you, that's definitely like
Nope.
between Sarkin and the Stark King, that's the guy that I want to.
We're not letting you get ensorcelled. This is where you're at. You kill him clean. You don't need to worry about any like turn something into something to something.
Yeah,
something
exactly. That's the healthier, like,
Yeah.
no strings attached
option.
Yeah.
Someone asked what book is Lawrence from. He is from the Temeraire series.
Not Temeraire. Lawrence, I would marry out of these
Oh.
options. I mean, Lawrence is the only obvious marriageable option.
I don't see. I actually think we keep up this lineup for Katie too, because I think she would actually be even more into Sarkin than Maria, because he's like,
Yeah.
No.
well, that's a good point. No, that's a good point. Yeah, no, not as much as
It
Maria's
depends.
a lot more
It depends.
versatile.
I've not read it, so I don't really know.
That's true. Maria for these three, I think. I think
Oh,
you know
God.
what? I think Maria can take a little bit of danger. You know what I mean? As long as she walks
Oh
away
God, yeah,
afterwards.
she definitely F Resand. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Resand, number one, Resand is hot and he knows it, which is one of my least favorite thing about men. I have turned down really good looking men because they're
That's
ass.
true.
Like, if
That's
if I
true.
think you're an ass, and also like yeah, so like Tamlin, what I like about Tamlin is that he would be easier, I think, like if you were the right kind of person to control, because he's got a lot of insecurities in himself, so he'd be a great fuck buddy.
Well, again,
I think he's the better fuck buddy.
You've definitely dated and had no strings attached with Tamlins.
Yeah, and I've looked at some Resands and gone. No.
Yes, you have. That's why as soon as you said that, I was like, that's fair.
No, that makes sense. Hot Plants and Cinnamon Roll says, Lawrence is fine. He's a good guy, honorable, etc., but he's just boring. If it was to marry Temeraire, we'd have another conversation, but Lawrence is boring. Well, Lawrence comes with Temeraire and 10,000 pounds.
And
So-
the thing for me is, marriage is less about like the excitement than who do I want to build a productive life with. Like for me, I think of marriage as going into business with someone. Like your business is the life you're building together. So boring for me does not necessarily for marriage.
It's smart. It's smart.
Yes. I view marriage less as an exciting romantic endeavor than as, do I like you enough to want to invest in things with you?
And
Am
to
I going
own
to
a
put
home and do taxes.
Yes. Am I going to put my money with your money? Like,
Yes.
dost I trust you enough? And
I
of
would
those
trust
men,
Lawrence.
the only one I trust with my money is flippin' Lauren.
Yes, exactly.
That's so funny. Yeah, the only time he had money troubles was because he tried to stop slavery, and I think Maria would be okay with that. Otherwise,
Yes,
he's
absolutely.
money in a relationship is important. Okay, so for the next one, I actually was gonna do a whole tier list of hot bitchy characters for me, but like it was pretty simple.
Oh my
so
God,
instead,
stop it. Stop it.
And now
Stop
on
it.
to the bitchy lady.
by the way, I wanted to do Monster Boyfriend for Maria, but we haven't read any good ones. It would just be ampersand, and so like that's not really interesting. So
That's
for this one,
marry and fuck.
for this one, we have my three favorite hot bitchy ladies. Even though one of them isn't hot, Yanthe I don't think is actually hot. I think she's ugly in universe, but
no,
whatever.
she's not ugly.
We're keeping
She
her
is
because
just
she's awesome.
She's
pale.
just very skeletal.
Isn't she
out.
supposed to? Yeah, she's supposed to have been like kind of. Anyway, and then we also have Cosima from The Saver, as you guys all know, and Nesta. And I'm actually curious what you guys think
Okay.
are gonna work.
Okay.
here.
Wait.
Cosima goes to Mary.
Wait. You're gonna influence me. Let me think for a second before let me decide first. I don't know Cosima, unfortunately. Give me a little
big boobied.
Okay.
Big boobied. Okay.
Uh-huh.
She got the
Yeah,
evil
this is
titties.
not doing it justice for the record. But
She's-
whatever.
She's bitchy. She's I
already know the answer.
Manipulative.
I know the answer. It's fine. I'm good.
Okay.
You
Okay,
go.
go ahead.
You can go first though.
Okay. Cosima for Mary.
Cosima for Mary. Okay.
I agree. I also
Put that
chose that. F
Okay,
for
and-
Nesta.
Oh, see, this is the one where I'm a little. The problem with Ianthe is I think Ianthe's a little too.
She's too skinny.
bloodthirsty.
She's too skinny without
and
boobies.
she's very skinny. She's very and very pale. Okay, so we'll go Nesta for F,
I think that
Nesta
would
for
be it.
F. Okay.
and then Ianthe for kill.
Now, see, the problem is I'm going purely based off of Will's massive. I'm not gonna actually say anything.
But
the
also
point
the
is-
type of, we also have to think of the type of bitchiness.
That's what
That
the
they
problem
are.
is. That's what the problem is. Will has biased my opinion on this response because of very specific things.
So I think honestly, I think Nesta would be the best one to marry. At least Nesta,
Yes.
as portrayed in like 60% of how
Yes.
thus far in what we've read, she's been portrayed as. She seems like a person who could run a household, you know?
Yes.
Like she has that thing. So that's what I think the Mary thing would be. But I
Oh,
don't
boy.
she's also not described.
Will, how do you expect them to do this without cup size labels? That is
Yeah.
a very fair
Chantal,
point.
you really understand. You do.
You do. And so I think Nesta is actually the one, like as far as building a life together, I think
Oh,
she's the one you go with.
100%.
But I also think there is a part of Will that would like
Yeah. Yeah.
a woman who could be like demurely smiling and obey, And I think Cosima has that. I think Cosima has that.
What a
I don't
word
think
choice.
Nesta, I don't think. Listen, there was a lot of other words I could have used, and that was
I
the
know.
best
I know.
got.
I was
Fair,
wondering what
fair
you were
enough.
gonna go
We're
with.
gonna. My mom will watch this, so we're just gonna keep going.
Yeah, and
Um,
so I think Cosima is the one that would be for him the best for Mary. Yeah, that's it. I'm sitting with the.
Okay, so here's the thing. I had right.
Mhm.
I
I'm
was gonna
curious.
do F Cosima, marry Nesta, but you guys have won me over because my initial thinking was like Nesta. She's like very competent. She's very sort of alpha girl, which I like. She's very driven. But the thing is, she does have a lot of emotional issues in like
Yep.
a cold, withholding way, which
Yep.
I would not love. Cosima,
I don't know much about her, but
I feel like I could fix her. You know what I mean? I feel like I could fix
Yeah.
her. I feel like she does have that kind of like softness to her. And the thing about Ianthe is she would be fun to hang out with, but she might kill me.
also,
So she, yeah,
Exactly.
thank
She's
you,
gotta go.
Dwayne, for your $10. That is very kind of you.
just got
Aw.
here. Congrats on making it to 10K. Hoping this channel grows bigger in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, no, and the thing is, like, you know, Chantel made a good point. We don't have cup sizes here, so that kind of makes the. Somebody said that Katie is bi, so she should also get to do this one. She is not as into bitchy girls as I am, but I
I'm
think
not.
that's valid. Would you like to take? Would like us to pick you one?
Yes, that would be fun. Go for it.
Okay, so Katie is 100. Oh God, this is hard.
This is hard for you
Yeah,
guys.
I'm trying to think because I actually think
I'm so curious.
So
I think
there
she
is-
fucks me, Anthe.
I do think she absolutely 100%. That's the one. I think there's a level of control that Ianthe would have that Katie would respond well to.
Katie's into like, and also like Ianthe has a golden hand, and so like, and Katie's not necessarily into like typically like she's flexible in terms of what she finds attractive in a person. So like Pan, you know what I mean? So it's like yeah, she's kind of sickly looking and has a golden hand, but that's skeletal. But you know,
So-
she'd be okay with that.
Between Nesta and Cosima, the problem I find is that I think Nesta would be Nesta's a little bit more chill as far as like she doesn't get too wrapped up in things like she'll get angry about stuff, but
Well-
she doesn't have too much other and so I think that might be a little bit more of a
Okay, hold on a second. Ironically, no. I leave it at that.
Anyway, so this actually brings up an interesting kind of question about these, which is, are we assuming that the person they marry loves them? Or is this like,
Yeah.
because the thing
Katie,
is like,
Katie would need to be the like, oh God, if she's marrying them, not only does she need to be loved, but
Who would love me the most?
yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, Cosima would not love me at all. So it's like, are we taking it for granted in this that they would love us back?
Yeah. That's how we would take it. The thing is,
Oh,
Cosima
okay.
is the kind of person I think that needs to be taken care of. Nesta seems like the kind of person, at least what we've
then
seen of
I
her
kind of
thus
have an
far. What the kind of I think Nesta's the kind of person who would take care of someone like she does with her younger sister a lot. I don't know how it actually plays out between her and Cassian at all because we haven't read that book. But that's
See,
just
the problem is we don't see Nesta beyond her bitchiness towards Farah, and that irritates me a lot throughout the book.
Here's the deal breaker, I think. I think Nesta argues a lot, and she, the way she communicates is through argument. And for me and Katie, that's such a deal breaker in terms of like, we just don't like conflict in that way. And so even when she like would be taking care of Katie, it would be very like harsh. And I don't think that would be good. I think Cosima is a little bit too gooey for Katie in that like she's a little bit too soft. But I think that's probably going to be the happier choice of the three. I mean, the basic problem is that Katie is not into hot bitchy girls like I am. So like there's a certain level that this will always be a mismatch. But I think that makes sense. What do you think?
I think Nesta is more similar to her current husband than Cosima is. I'm just
Really?
oh,
Yeah.
100%. 100%. He's a little bit more apathetic with people he doesn't know. He cares much more about people he does know and is more emotionally invested in. He is a little less overt with his affection, you know, initially.
Okay. All right. I will I will bow to your knowledge on this. And I do think as long as things were mostly going good, I think things would go mostly good between them. So, okay, there we go.
Katie, feedback.
So you both win and don't win. Because I am uncertain who I'd marry an F between Ianthe and Nesta. Because I kind of want to marry Ianthe.
I know you do, but it wouldn't be healthy.
No, it wouldn't. Bad. It wouldn't. So honestly, yes. In the end, good job.
Okay. All right. There we go. There we go. Okay. So I think that's pretty solid. We made decisions.
Was it shade with that Maria referred to Juan as Katie's? I've never had another husband. No, it's just a weird phrasing.
Your current husband.
I just meant the person she's currently married to. Like, because we're looking at Nesta as a potential replacement of marriage.
That's true. That is a fair point.
That was the implication. A current partner. Not that Katie's going to get another husband, but,
Hopefully.
I've actually, no. Okay, all right. So, that was a good one, guys. Let's see. Other games I had for us is we have question and answers. We had some interesting questions. I had red flags because one of the questions was, what red flags do you think make a book look bad? Instead of making a whole tier list, I think it would be fun to do each one specifically, like this one over that one. We also have ships, which we didn't do from the end of the year live stream. But like we don't really that one I just had here because we had it left over, and I think that was all. So what do you guys feel like?
I would really like to answer some of those other questions that we received at some point, but are we talking about not doing that and doing these, or are we doing that regardless and doing
we have like about a half hour, so let's do some question and answers. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, because I really liked some of the questions that you picked.
Okay, so overlay, I have new ways of doing this. All right, so which ones do you, so from the first folder, which one did you want to take a look at first? Okay, we already did How We Met. That one we don't need. That one, by the way,
it can be your pick. I don't care which one it is.
Sloan PayPal was the one who had asked how we met, and I just decided to make that the first full half, so there we go. Oh, okay, there were a couple of these that I thought would go faster than the others. So, let's do author interviews. If you could bring any author onto the show, hold on. If you could bring any author onto the show, who would it be, and would it make them answer for their, and would it be to make them answer for their book crimes? As fun as that would be, no, because I don't think they would actually answer very well. It's hard to phrase criticisms as a question, and it would just feel kind of like gotcha-y. The only one I would really like is Lindsay Ellis. I think that would be cool, mostly because I'm just a fan of hers. In general, I'm not like, oh my god, like I wouldn't have Martin on because I don't really care about Martin as a person. I just like his books. And so like that's not, I'm not a big fan of people in that way. I do think it would be interesting to have Novik on. I think there are some questions about why she made some of the decisions she did, like in Uprooted or in the Temeraire series, that I think would be really interesting to get answers to that I don't think other people have asked. What about you guys?
So if we're doing authors that are not alive, it would be my girl, Ursula K. Le Guin.
Oh, okay.
I would love to sit down and have a conversation with this woman. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. But as far as women that are alive, I think I would like to have a conversation with, there was another one I mentioned last night with Katie, but I can't remember who it was.
I know who it is, but it's my choice, so I'm keeping it.
Well, I'm saying the second one that I do remember. So if this is yours. I mentioned two last night.
If they're alive, it's not.
Oh, because I did mention two that were alive.
Guys, just pick one.
So I'd like to talk to Tamora Pierce specifically to talk about how female-led YA has changed for her, what it was like writing during the era she was writing, and because there is something specific about writing the kinds of stories she did during the time she did that I think is really interesting, and what she thinks of the new wave of female-led YA and everything, and how that interacts. So yeah, I'd like to, like, Tamora Pierce was huge for me growing up, so being able to sit down and talk with her I think would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I think the thing about it is that and one of the things I forgot to say is that, like, for me, this channel is not for authors, and I actually try not to look up author interviews before we read a book, because for me it's the whole author is dead thing. Like I don't want, I've talked about this before, Children of Blood and Bone, I'm very glad I didn't look at it in interviews beforehand, because afterwards I was like, oh, I like her, she's just trying to do her best, she's like doing immigrant work ethic, as she calls it. But like, that book was awful, so I'm glad I didn't do that beforehand. I would have gone easier on the book. All right, Katie.
Yeah, that's actually something that Maria and I were out to dinner last night, and that was something I actively said, is that when it comes to music too, or art, or books, I never, like, I know there is an aspect to knowing the author and like the development and stuff that isn't like, it's something that has value, but I just don't care. I've never cared about artists of music. People be like, oh, who do you like? And I'm like, I don't know, I like this song. So that's just me.
By the way, they went out to dinner without me yesterday. How
You
rude.
don't
There's a
live
lot
here.
there's so much crossing the lines. Like, it's like, that's the thing, is like, three people can never be fully equally friends, because two of them always
Okay.
backstab the other.
Anyway,
Katie.
to answer the question though, and this was actually Maria's answer last night, but it really helped me. It's because like my answer I just gave you. I would have loved to meet Diana Wynne Jones. Because
Aww.
I think her
Okay, there is one author I do that for.
what little I have read of her work, I think is so weirdly magical and different from literally any other book I've ever read. And it would be so great to understand, like, just to see how she talks, to see like, how different are you as a person to create such interesting worlds, or are you not, and you just have a crazy imagination?
Idea generation, I think, would be fascinating, because
Yeah.
her books have sometimes such different feels from each other, and
Yeah.
also hit different types of genres, that I think it would be absolutely fascinating to talk with her.
No, I was going to say, I kind of go back on it a little bit. I actually would be interested in reading talking to some of the authors, if we could really go in depth with their writing process. So,
Yeah.
like, how do you balance the tone of this to that? How, like, the actual craft of it, I don't think they get asked
Yeah.
about a lot. And I would really like to go into the nitty gritty. That actually would be kind of cool. So I take it back. There's a lot of authors that I think that would be kind
I
of
would
interesting
love to
do
know
with.
at which edit certain ideas finally coalesce, you know, because I think a huge problem with like first drafts is ideas aren't fully coalesced, and like how long does it take them? Does it change book to book? Like that kind of stuff would be absolutely fascinating
Also,
to engage
when
with.
the final product comes out, what draft is it? Because I really would love to know what the typical draft count is for different genres / like books that we've read. Like, was it the 5th draft? Were there 80 drafts? I mean, like, I think that's interesting, because then it, like, you get into the, are you naturally gifted at writing? Does it have something to do with that? Does it have to do with your education? Does it have to do with the amount
How
you
much
read?
do you get edited? Like, how much is
Yeah.
an editor actually giving you feedback, and how much are you changing things based on the feedback? Or are you kind of given carte blanche? Like, I think that would be fascinating. I think that's good. Next question.
Oh shit, we have a celebrity.
Who?
Man Carrying Things says, really enjoy the conversation you've had on the channel, especially the focus on craft. Congrats on 10K. Thanks. I did not know you existed before I Googled you, but I'll check out some of your videos now.
Wait, what is it? I don't know who he is. I'm sorry.
It's another
He's a
video
YouTube
content
channel.
creator. Yeah.
Aw, well, thanks for blessing us with your presence. It's because that is actually really cool.
Yeah, I'll check out some of your videos and then pretend.
Yeah,
that
Science
I watched them
Fantastic was
before
like
now.
fangirling for 5 seconds, and I was like, wait, I don't understand what that, because I didn't see
Yeah.
his comment, so I was like,
Yeah.
is that a book title?
Yeah, I immediately Googled it trying to figure it out. Yeah, so I think those would be our ones. Let's see, what other branding I do. Oh, okay, this is a pretty
Oh my
easy one.
god, would you look at that? I have seen a video of his before. That's so funny. Anyway, continue.
If you could adapt a series or book into a video game, this is going to be a quick question. Will, I think you and I will have the same one.
This is actually such a good question.
Oh,
and
I
to be
know.
honest, I think me and Katie should do an entire video on it.
Please, can we know, please? Because this was my favorite question, Chantel. This is my favorite question out of all the questions that was asked, because it is the coolest question.
Yeah, so the question is, if you could adapt one book or series into a video game, which one would you pick and why? Also, what genre would they be? So one of the easy answers I have is, and I actually talked about this, the 7.5 Lives of Evelyn Hardcastle,
Hardcastle.
I think would make such a better
It
game
would
than
be
it
a
would.
great game.
Didn't we talk about that on the episode?
During the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like the characters would feel less perfunctory. There'd be a really interesting loop of the gameplay going through the world each time, changing things. And I think that would just work so much better than it does actually as a book, where the character felt very amorphous.
You know what it would remind me of, sort of, is a combination of like the game we played together. What was it called again? 8 minutes or 9 minutes or something like
The
that?
Room?
No, not The Room. The one with
Yeah. The one we played together.
Yeah, no, I know, but I want them to know what I'm talking about.
Oh.
What actor is it that plays the Green Goblin in Spider-Man? Again?
William Dafoe.
Yeah,
William
Dafoe.
While she looks that
video
up,
game.
Keys
But
to the
I
Kingdom.
like to think of him as William de Ally. But go ahead.
It's in
12 minutes.
So 12 minutes is a game that Will and I played, and actually, Will, I was gonna ask you if you ever want to do a video gaming stream. That one would actually be fun to have.
I looked up the
chatters.
endings and they're so depressing.
Why would
but
you
go ahead.
look up the endings? I haven't. Anyway, so yeah, it's a combo of like something like that, comboed with the Song of like something, which is like a Cthulhu video game. But yeah, when I was looking through the list of our books yesterday that we've done, I was like, oh, actually, I could see how that would work, but that's not my choice.
Yeah. There's also a game called The Sexy Brutale. Yes, that's the real name. That has a similar time loop mechanic that I think it would also be good. I actually, again, this is such a good question. I actually want to do this with Katie, where not only do we talk about different ones we would, but we actually go into design them a little bit. Because I actually have this weird thing where I will constantly design games. Like I'll just make game doc designs, a lot of times based off of like whatever story I'm working on. So like I was reading a lot about the Spanish tercio lately, and so like I started designing it as a video game, and like as like but with Redwall, like so it's like woodland creatures with pikes and handguns and stuff, and so like stuff like that I think would be cool. I think there are sometimes books I think that actually almost would work better as video games. So
Yeah.
The Slow Regard of Silent Things, I actually think would work better as a video game than it does as a story, because you would be the character moving through this environment. One of the things games do really well is environmental storytelling. And so like I think you could build an atmosphere really good in that regard. I think Sword Heart could just be another play on like be like an open world RPG Transistor style, where like he's stuck in the sword talking to her. I think that would be so much cooler than a Viking guy in a sword. But whatever, I didn't read that book. Do you have any other ones you're thinking of?
Yes,
Keys
both
to the
of us.
Kingdom.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. You're
Yeah.
right.
It would be.
Yes.
It's you've got to get the key at the end of the level. There's different, like each realm you go to has a different like type of thing you're interacting with. The landscape would look different. You know, you go from like printing and paper filing houses to like a mining underworld to an ocean to like there's so much stuff, to an army with like on a moving tile
No, and there's
system.
there's different mechanics for each one that are that are special. There could be like a hub world. No, you're totally right. Yeah, we talked about that in the video and then I totally forgot it, but you're right. There are other books that would like, I think actually Piranesi would work pretty good as a video game.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
also occurred to
Because
me.
it's
but
about an environment, which games are good with.
my final decision that I came to last night was like a side scroller for Coraline.
Yes. With
Yeah, that would be
puzzles
so
and you have
cool.
to identify the thing and
Like it's more
I think it would be
like
great.
a younger audience kind of vibe, but I still think that would work very well as a video game.
I think so too. There's also like different types. So like 3 Parts Dead, I think as a point and click adventure, I think could work actually pretty well. You know, you're solving a mystery. There's different things involved. I'm looking at our list and thinking of different
And
ones.
I actually think there's an argument to be made that some books would be better adapted as a video game than a movie and or TV
Yes.
show, because you're right, there is an environmental aspect that video games get a lot more, and also I think you can do a little bit more with like being in someone's head or mindset in video games.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of
yeah.
video games that kind of played with that I think would be a fantastic thing to do. And so this question, Chantal, you really hit it out of the park.
Again, I want to do a whole video on this actually, to be honest.
One last note real quick though. Another one I also considered mentioning was the wait, did you say 3 Parts Dead?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's like an adventure game, like a point and click.
Yep.
There are other ones though that I think like just wouldn't like Vampires of El Norte. Like that would require a lot of changing. Like that would either need to be
Yeah.
yeah, that was
No,
such a
I
shitty
didn't read
book.
that, but
Yeah, like you could theoretically keep the plot and just have a lot of vampires, but then you're just adding a lot of stuff and it's not really an adaptation. It's just like a you know, and that's not like the fun part
Inspiration.
isn't seeing how yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, again, I would actually like to go through that and actually design the
Ooh,
systems a little bit.
1,000,000 to 1. Chantal, that's a great. Would be a great. You could do puzzles.
Yes.
And like identifying things that are off and have it like with the heist. I think that would be so great.
Yeah,
So
you could
great.
change between character point of views, or even there could be like a system where you have to keep their loyalties through certain ways.
Ooh.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, like a Telltale game. That would be really cool, but with
Exactly.
actually more gameplay than Telltale
Ah.
games tend to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Okay, so yeah, I think that's pretty.
Science. A Court of Thorns and Roses would just be a dating sim.
dating
Oh
That's
sim.
true.
God,
That's true. It would make a great dating sim game.
God, ugh.
Except
Ugh.
Mass would get mad that people put the main character not with Resand. God forbid you liked someone
He's
else.
the character. No, wait. Is he? Is he? Is he
There'd
the
be
character?
good and bad endings.
No, I don't think he would be. Who would be the character? You know how every dating sim has that mysterious background character that you can't see the appearance
Never
of?
played one,
And-
so I can't say.
Oh,
but-
there's always this one character that's always like, and it's a shadow and it's a mystery character, and it's like supposed to be the hottest, most mysterious character. And it takes a lot of effort to like unlock his dating capabilities. I don't know. I think Azriel, maybe?
Yeah, it would be Azrael. That's
Yeah.
the one. It's 100% Azrael. Okay, next question.
Oh, really quickly, Guards would be like one of those classic like Grim Fandango point and click adventures.
That would be so fun.
like that even fits the way those games were.
Comfort
Anyway, yeah,
Zone-
we're gonna go to the next one because we could just keep talking about this.
Yeah, Comfort Zone, by the way, the reason why I'm responding to Chantel is because she's hitting it on the nail on the head for me. It just every single time. It just Chantel's a little too she's I feel like a cut of the same thread.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she's very smart. Assuming she's a she, I can't remember.
I'm assuming based off the little icon. That's the only reason.
Yeah, we have quite a few non-buying NB
No, that's
people.
true. That's true.
Um,
Apologies if so.
Oh, how close to being more serious, how close are the hosts to actually publishing their writing?
Nowhere close.
So,
Not even in the ballpark.
We can move on now.
I think the thing about it is all of us have sort of fallen out of the habit of writing.
Yeah.
And also, we're all just so busy. Again, I started this podcast because I wanted to read more, because it made me write better. And now, because the podcast, I have no time to write. It's not a waste of like time, though. It means I have like a built-in audience if I ever do decide to publish. I have like certain core, the channel.
Things that you would want to write about.
Yeah, though I sometimes worry that like I almost shouldn't write because it would demean my ability to be a book reviewer.
No, it would
because
not.
people would be like, "Oh, he can't do it in his own book," and I feel like there's
That doesn't
something
matter.
valid in. I know, but people use that to hide from
know.
criticism.
I know, but your writing is actually quite like mature. So what question?
Thank you.
If you're willing to tell us, what story of yours would you want to publish first if you were able to complete it and able to publish it? What idea would you choose?
So my current one is the game Homeworld meets Dune meets another one that I can't remember. I told Maria about it. It's about like people think like in Dune in like hyper smart ways, but it's also about like space combat, and it's about like in the engaging with an AI mind for hyper thought and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's kind of like, okay, humanity has evolved past its primal instincts, but that doesn't mean it's actually gotten any better. And like thinking through that and like space combat, because I love space combat and fighting. There's another one about nonlinear time that I really want to write, but I just can't get my head
Can't
around
get
it
his
because
head around it.
nonlinear time is so hard. And yeah, I've told her, and the thing about it is like I would
It's
want to
hard.
write
I
it in a
can't
way.
help him with that. I got
Kill-
nothing.
Do you want to talk about it sometime? Not that I can know that I can help, but I feel like I maybe could. If you're ever interested.
Yeah, maybe sometime. I don't know. I've had to do more research on it too, to be honest. And then I recently had one I had an idea for, and I can't remember now. But yeah, I have ones like that. I I've like half finished books before, but those were a while ago. So at some point I'll get back into writing when I have enough money to have time to write, because right now I just don't, between my different jobs, and I'm not super motivated. But yeah, there's a lot of stories I would like to write. But
Yeah.
we'll get there eventually.
One thing I would really like to do, because there's, oh, I've always thought I needed to publish a novel, and that I needed to write, something that was a couple hundred pages. And it took like 2 years into my relationship with my husband where he was like, why do you need to write a novel? Just write short stories, Katie. Write an anthology of short stories. And I was like, nobody buys short stories. And he's like, do you actually want to make money off your book? And I was like, no. And he was like, then why do you care about that? And I was like, that's fair. It's because my favorite medium is short story. I don't like writing long things. It's because I like the perfunctory nature of a short story. And plus, like, short story format is better for horror. And that would be like, the dream. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually have been thinking too, Amort, how about not necessarily short stories, but like if I write books, I want to write them short, because like I just don't think it's worth the time to. I'm not a writer. I'm like Martin. I write real slowly, so I don't want to ever get into the situation he's in, where he's like writing a
Uh,
giant series and never gonna finish it and letting a lot of people down. I think it would be smarter, and because also I have this problem with my writing where a lot of times people have to cut it. I have to expand it, because usually I'm just like, and then the thing like it's
happen.
so bare bones in terms of how I write that I kind of need to expand it more. But and then Maria, you haven't written for a while, right?
I have not written in a very, very long time. I would say that Katie and Will have both written more recently than I have. I think the last time I actually actively was writing something was 2019, before COVID. And I have an idea of what I would like to get back into with it, but it's I'm kind of at a point now where I'm more interested
Mm.
in writing academically and doing like doing more academic essays, analyzing things. I think like that's one of my favorite things that I got out of my master's program, was engaging with things in that way. But I would like to publish at some point. And I have the opposite problem of both of them. I actually no, I would say exact opposite problem of Katie, where I've attempted to write short stories, and every single time I've done it, somebody has gone, this is a novel. You're trying really hard to make it a short
Yeah,
story,
it's
but
true.
this is a novel. I
Maria's
literally
very good at making a plot move, like not in a like when I say make a plot move along, I mean she's good at action dialogue. Like she's the whole like package, but so if she polished the craft, she could be like I feel like a very popular. Will's like the mature cerebral
I'm
side of
like
that. Maria's like the
Scalzi.
fun. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
like
I'm
the fun
like
adventure.
Scalzi. Like stuff is gonna happen. It might not be that like long. But we're gonna get places. Except I'd like to say that while maybe not always as witty, I do think my dialogue is a little bit more unique for each character than Scalzi's is.
Oh yes, no, that's true. No, I have three modes of writing. I'm a real auteur, literature smart, and I'm
His art.
fanfic trash and dark and moody, and I'm trying to write YA, but it's turning into one of the other two. And that's like it. And then so following on from that, Max, I think, had, would you three seriously consider co-writing
Oh
a
my god,
gothic
yes.
monster boyfriend novel?
I literally told Maria last night that I'm kind of like I know it probably won't happen, but it breaks my heart because Maria and I and two other friends did a quilt story together. Like we each like did a piece of the story and we went like in a cycle. And then Will and I have done part like we started doing one together and I have so much fun writing with other people because it takes the stress off of me of world building and I like that I can just like like engage with my friend like make the detail stuff. I think we would do an amazing job with collective opinions to create a fun monster boyfriend story.
I think yes, because there's such a lack of monster boyfriend. We actually got a couple questions about monster boyfriend, so we can just cover them all here. They were like, what was your ideal monster boyfriend? And like and the thing is, like, the thing Maria nailed on the head. Yes, that's the saying. Um hit the nail on the head. I actually think
Yeah.
is saying is that they have to be not sexy while he's a monster.
Yes.
It has to be
while
like
he's falling in love. Yeah.
yes. Well, he has to be like a legit monster, and they have to fall in love through the cerebralness of it, right? And then he can turn into a person if they want to have sex or not. But that's not the important part. It would be best if he stayed a monster.
Yeah,
whole time, ideally.
the Emperor in Baldur's Gate 3 was my initial choice for a romanceable option for all of you who like Baldur's Gate. And I was very sad that you didn't really have a real romance like storyline, but you do have a very interesting sex scene where you literally one of the options is during like the little romance scene is like you're thinking in your head, how do you kiss an illithid with its tentacle mouths and beak underneath? And it's like you try to recall the anatomy, and then if you don't score well on your history check, then you have different things that happen. But you kiss its tentacles, and that's all you are doing is you're making out with a tentacle, and he's like, eh.
See, I'm okay with fade to black when it comes to the sexy parts. Like, people, I understand. Like, I'm okay with fade to black when it comes to monster boyfriend. I actually did have a monster boyfriend. I had 2 monster boyfriend ideas. One of which I think I told Maria about, which is pretty excellent. Because it's like the wolf one.
Yeah, I knew exactly which one you were talking about.
Okay. And then I have another monster boyfriend where it's like he's an AI power suit, and they actually kind
that's
of
cool.
works. Remember I
that's
told
you?
you about this one? Yeah, I told you about this story a while ago, but I think I changed the dynamic a little bit. And so, like, I really like Monster Boyfriend. It's a good trope. But that's because a couple of people had asked what, like, our ideal ones would be. It would be something where, and then there's also, like, a certain amount of, like, actually, that's not true. I have a Monster Girlfriend story about a Velociraptor samurai.
Yeah,
that I wanna write at some
That's another
point.
great one. That's
Oh
another
my
great
God.
one.
Stop it.
There needs to be, for me, a good monster boyfriend needs to have an element of fear / unknown, and not necessarily that like abusive things are happening, but that there is a like I don't actually know or completely understand how this person or creature is thinking, and there is that like disconnect that needs to be bridged or overcome. I love that. It's one of the reasons Axiom's End works so well for me, because there is this like hint of the danger of like I don't know how this alien brain works, but there is a sense of comfort, and I like that sweet aching like and I like it to be a slow burn, you know. I don't
And by
like
slow
things to
burn, you
jump
don't mean he turns into a human by 80% of the way into the book.
and then they have sex. I mean that by like it's a trilogy, and they maybe start actually looking at each other longingly in book 2.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I refer to as a slow burn.
Will, you've now made me thirsty for an AI suit romance. Like I really did wipe that from my memory bank, because now that you've said that, I'm upset that doesn't exist.
Well, okay, so the thing is, originally speaking, it was a young girl, and the suit was more of a father figure.
Yeah,
but it was too trauma, and it wasn't sexual for the record, guys, or romantic or whatever. But it was just like it was too dark of a story to write, so I decided to age her up. And then as I did that, I was like, oh, well, that's kind of an
sexy
interesting.
because like she's in. Okay, I'll stop. I don't know if that's allowable.
Anyway, that was a really interesting setting that I really should. Again, there's a lot of stuff I should just write, and I haven't. Yeah, join our Patreon if you would like to support independent writing like that.
I like that
a little plug. Alien versus Predator was almost a monster boyfriend situation. Not quite the one I'm still mad about it. Yes, it was almost there. It was like 60% of the way there.
Her little like war scar thing, and the how she was basically his wife in the end because she inherited his thing, and like got a little. I was just like, oh, I need a sequel.
Okay. I think that's good for that one. Let me check. Yeah, Ideal Monster Boyfriend was the other one, and that was by Melody Harmony. These are taken, by the way, partly from the YouTube post we put up and partly from our Discord. We have an absolutely wonderful Discord. You guys should join.
Join it.
Okay. Author did no. Sorry. Okay. I thought this would be a fun one. If you could be the main character in one of the books you've read, which one would it be? And that's from Jennifer. I actually kind of haven't thought about it. So you guys thought about these beforehand. So you go ahead.
Decide on. Do you remember?
I would love to be the main character in Uprooted.
Oh yeah, that's
Like,
right. I remember
I
you
feel
said
like
that.
Agnieszka and and so the funny thing is, I made the point to Katie that I'd like to be in the main character's position. I don't necessarily want to do everything the main character does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to, like, I'd play my hand different.
What did I decide on? God, continue though.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't-
was that it?
yeah, that was my.
Okay. I can't remember. What did I say last night?
I was not there because you guys didn't invite me.
Yeah, I
You
know.
don't
cannot
live
say.
here.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna jokingly say cyborg tinker, but no, I'm not going to.
So, Will, have you thought of one? Because I have a question that I think is a fun question.
I think, funnily enough, like, so we said this about in Vampires of El Norte, like, I love that dynamic between characters, but I didn't love it in that book. So, like, if I could rewrite that book as I go, that would be a fun character to be. I'm trying to think of, the thing is, again, there's not that many hot bitchy girls, so I don't know who, that we've read, so I couldn't really be one of them. I think being Cassian would be kind of fun. I'd be, like, hot, I'd be dangerous, you know what I mean? It would not be good for my personality, but assuming I can just be them, that would be cool.
Definitely, like, the first thing that comes to mind anyway while looking at our little list, and I don't even remember if this was actually what I picked or not, but Ninth House, like, I don't want to be the main character per se because it's kind of depressing.
That's what it was. You just wanted to be in
the
that
world. I want to be in the world of it, but I also probably will die, so I'm not sure.
Sean Kendrick from Scorpio Races. I don't really want to be in his position, but I'd really like to be him. That would be cool.
Someone asked what your favorite relationship is, and I'm pretty sure Sean Kendrick and what's-her-face.
That was our final choice.
It's such a good relationship. Like, I love Elle and Orion from
I almost put Orion as one of your men, but I was like, no, it's pretty clear what would happen there.
Well, Orion, he's such a good little golden retriever puppy.
Also, all the pictures I found of him were young, and I was like, this is a little weird.
Ninth House, so I can exist in a world where I'm accepted into Yale.
Oh, that'd be funny.
What a world. Someone asked, and I thought about it yesterday, and I just want to mention it. Literary hills I'll die on. Like, the smallest.
Oh, that was one of
hills.
Max's questions, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I think epic fantasies, the really, really long books with the 900
that was our final choice last night.
Climaxes and everything.
Epic
I think
fantasies
they're a little
are overblown. Yep.
I think people need to do better with scope. I think scope needs to be better, guys.
Yes,
that's funny.
And also abused main characters. That it's like abuse
overly abused.
Yes.
No, that's very funny. All the hills, I thought about that one, but the thing is, all the literary hills I would die on, I actually consider to be important, which is why I would die on them. Yeah. So I'm not sure like what other people would find to be a small one. I think one of them, like, well, I think, for example, people need to stop giving characters viewpoints if it doesn't serve a purpose. Like secondary main characters, I think that constantly ruins romances. I think romanticy needs to die an ugly, brutal death. That kind of thing. But again, those aren't like small literary hills. They're like Oxford, comma. Oxford, comma, I'll die on.
Wait,
Oxford.
Exactly. Pro Oxford, comma. Pro Oxford, comma.
Oxford, comma.
Every time.
I hate when people don't use the Oxford.
Oh my god, it kills me. I always think it's a grammar error, and I automatically fix it, and then I'm like, wait, it's not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't understand why you would get rid of something that adds clarity. I just don't understand why you would do that. Yeah. Okay, did you guys have any specific ones you want?
I feel like there's one other one that I liked.
Somebody asked, while you guys think about it, because I pulled some books. Somebody asked about...
the person of color one.
Books by queer or POC writers that we enjoyed, and so I pulled some of them. I don't have all of them, but as far as queer, I think the Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, all of those, that is a fantastic series. And then as far as people of color, Who Fears Death by Andy Okafor is fantastic. So I really like this book, but I have some issues with it. It's like me when I like anything, I could also pick it apart. But I enjoyed this, and I heard the short story that's also written by this author, Binti, is also fantastic. Then we have Octavia Butler, who I adore. Wild Seed is fantastic because it's fantasy, but it's also dealing with slavery, colonialism. It's a good one. If you haven't read Toni Morrison,
I was literally gonna say thanks.
Look at how much
that was gonna be my
young
one
baby
choice.
Maria.
It's because of frickin' Beloved. If you have not read Beloved, please do.
Yeah. And then I took an Asian American literature course, and my favorite book that I read from it was called The Woman Warrior by Maxine Hong Kingston, which was just absolutely fantastic. And it was like kind of surreal, magical realism, short stories that were inspired from her life. And then also Falling Leaves by Adeline Yen Ma was another really good one. We read so many good books in that class. And so a lot of these aren't fantasy, you'll notice. Like I will say Wild Seed, Octavia Butler writes, and then there's the other one that I'm forgetting the name of, but the main character ends up traveling back into the past to her
oh yeah, where she goes
slave.
back. What is the name of that?
I can't remember the name of that one, but it is so good.
It is fascinating.
One is fantastic. And
also,
so, yeah.
Everyone, Joy Luck Club. Please, for the love of God, go read the Joy Luck Club.
That's the one that we're talking.
Kindred.
There
you go.
Another really good one. The thing is, I haven't found a lot of ones that
YA fantasy
we've
ones
read that have been YA fantasy. That and part of it is just because a lot of the ones we've read have been the really popular ones that just are doing a lot of the things that make them popular. Like, but it didn't work for me. And so these were all ones that, like, you know, super enjoyable. I think another problem for me is I think when fantasy tries to do like colonialism or slavery, because it's trying to do it in a separate sphere, but it's also using shorthand for things we've dealt with, like when they import chattel slavery, but it's totally devoid of the connotations that we have with chattel slavery here, or like the colonialism has like blue people that are the slave. Like I think it can get really messy, and sometimes I look at it and I'm like, we aren't engaging with this in the right way.
Sphere. It would require so much more.
Yes. And so it's hard finding books that can really like engage with that well. But please, if you have ones that are of POC or queer authors, please leave them for us below. I still want to read that one Regency about the trans woman. That one,
the Lady and the Duke, I think it's called.
Yeah, The Lady and the Duke. I'd like to read that one.
What is
I was gonna put that on, and then honestly, I was like, it's probably gonna be bad, so we shouldn't read it because we're mostly gonna just complain about it.
Oh yeah.
So I do actually want to talk about the how we pick books and the diversity issues. So the problem is that most of what we read is either authors we know are good or things that are popular now, and almost neither of those lend well to reading queer or POC books. Because I actually started going through the numbers of this because it's a suspicion I've had for a while, and then I just stopped halfway through because I know what was happening. Like, so for one of the examples, one of the weird oddities of the channel is that we tend not to read a lot of bad books by male authors, but that's because the majority of books we read by male authors are rereads of things we know are good. And then also part of the problem is that if we like an author, we tend to read a lot of theirs. So Naomi Novik has like a whole playlist on our channel because we just keep rereading it over and over again. And then a lot of the more popular books we read are like The Fourth Wing or ACOTAR, where it's like, yeah, it's a white lady reading books now, and that's what's popular. And the thing about it, though, is that there are ways in which there are certain oddities. So, like, we read a lot of sapphic fiction compared to, like, the statistical norm in the U.S., and especially compared to, like, male, gay male, whatever.
Yeah, we haven't done like
fiction.
any of that.
Because we mostly read books about female characters, and so like that's just not. And that's we also read a lot of Asian fantasy compared to like almost anything else. Weirdly enough,
it's bizarre because for some reason almost all the ancient fantasy we've read has been about poor peasant girl who ends up either in the military or like becoming the ruler.
Yeah, it's very formulaic in that way.
But it's also just like it's a lot of the same, and like it's also a story type I don't love. like I also think of the traitor Baru Cormoran as another one where again it was the poor like person in the evil empire, and then she ends up part of the evil empire to take it down from within, and that's literally kind of what happens in
I just
There's
feel like
actually
that- Oh, go ahead.
so the thing is, part of it is, again, we're just dealing with a statistically small sample size, essentially, in terms of the book we read. So, for example, I don't know that we've read a good book by an Asian author outside of like the King
what we
one,
consider
Great
everyone.
King,
Your opinions
Grace
are
of
your
Kings.
own.
Well, but basically, again, that's just, it's not like to say they're not as good or not. It's just one of the weird things about the channel is we don't really read that much, and we've only read bad ones. The larger a group statistic, the more accurate it will be, and we only have like, I don't know, like 100 reviews
couple,
or so.
yeah.
So it's like, so when we look at diversity on the channel, it's a very kind of odd thing. And mostly, to be honest, we're reading we're just kind of reading the things we want to read. We're not really trying to read anything in particular, and a fourth of our books are picked by our patrons at this point.
Oh yeah, a
Yep.
large percentage is voted on. So like keep that in mind as well. But yeah, no, it's also like again, like Will is saying, we would like to discuss things that are I don't want to say relevant because I don't like that.
For the
Popular
growth of the
online, good
channel, I tried
tags.
to pick new
Yes.
books. To be
Yes.
honest, like that's really what it is. It's like there are basically like three types of books we read for. There's the Patreon book, which we don't pick because again, we only read 4 books a month. So a fourth of them are the Patreon book, which we don't pick. Then there's some kind of a reread usually, which is a book we know is going to be good. And because of the nature of publishing, a lot of the older books are written by white straight authors, and that's kind of just what you're going to do. Again, though, we read a weirdly large amount of female books. And then I'd say like another fourth is just roasts, and like you probably don't want people of color in our roast category.
Yes.
Or queer people, like, and those also tend to be the very popular books, which are, the trends in the publishing industry, which tend to be very white. And then, so then that really only leaves like a fourth to really be books that we're interested in, but aren't. Well, and actually, no, and to be fair, I try to pick new books as well. So like, that's kind of all the space the channel has.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's something I am aware of and I think about a lot, but it's not necessarily something that I think has a easy fix.
Yeah, and it's one of the things where like we are kind of a little bit slaves to the algorithm, and when we go like people are saying, well, why don't you do Octavia Butler or Toni Morrison? And unfortunately, like as much as I would, and so one of the things I want to do with the channel, if I had more time, is do live streams specifically that were about more like literary fiction, like Toni Morrison's Beloved. I mean, again, you can see that I just
I
ate
would
this
really
book.
love to reread Dante's The Inferno. I know Italian Man. I know that's not like representation, but
Yeah.
I personally love that book.
It's actually a good point though, because like we would love to do more sci-fi, but we just I don't pick sci-fi because sci-fi does poorly on the channel. So there's an extent. So and going into the new year, I've been thinking more about like not doing as many roast videos because I just don't think we need them for channel growth as much as we did. And so maybe we'll be able to do more books that we would like to do and books that were, maybe, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. There's a lot of things that actually go into picking the books for the channel.
I would love more books. I would absolutely love it. Maria and I still have to do that gosh darn one book, but whatever.
Yeah.
No,
Again-
but Maria, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, Maria was like when Maria and I were talking before, Maria was explaining, and she did just say it, but I want to reiterate the fact that she would really like to break down a book academically. So those of you who are like, oh, these other things to explore, yeah, that would allow for that. So that is something that would be ideal and really cool. Whereas like, not whereas, that's not a good, okay, I'll leave it there. So yes, maybe one day we'll be able to expand a little bit more on non-fantasy, non-sci-fi, because they are, but also the thing with that is, again, that will not necessarily pay off with the views per se because it's more academic, and while that's great for some people and it'd be really fun and everything, it's not exactly your TikTok clickable content, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think one of the things is that I think our core group is pretty happy no matter what we do. And so as we get larger, we don't have to try to get larger. This whole thing becomes
Exactly.
a lot more sustainable. Maria can get her doctorate for some reason that she wants.
I can start a writing
College is a
club,
scam.
if Will let me, where we all sit in a fishbowl setting. Somebody writes, 2 people write every month, and then we all evaluate the writing privately, not being filmed. That would be something I would really love to do if Phil would allow me to do that in the future, not now or anytime soon, but
Yeah. So yeah, that's I think the thing about it is just it's there's a lot of things that go into the channel, and unfortunately, it's one of those things where we're downstream of culture, and culture is still racist.
we also need to do a Brahm book. I've been wanting to do this book for a while, but I haven't mentioned it. I've been not reading it for the express purpose of hopefully reading it with you guys at some point.
Maria could
There's-
do
there's a-
intense analytical of videos as a Patreon bonus.
Yeah,
If there were more time, but like Maria
Yeah.
has no
So
like
the
she can
problem-
only record for 2 hours a week.
Yeah, it's like there are some times where there's a want to do 2 videos in one weekend, and I just don't have the time for that. I have a lot of things that take up my time on the weekend. So if we have to do 2 videos in a week, it's like a Wednesday night and then like the weekend video, and so that's the thing is it would for me to do this kind of, because like if we're gonna read Toni Morrison, we're not just reading this book. We would be reading academic journal articles, going
Yep.
into specific things. We would be discussing the
Writing a
historiography.
thesis.
Not even writing a thesis. I
Basically.
love discussions more so than the actual thesis writing, but looking at the historiography, how does this fit into the cultural time period it was written in? Looking into Toni Morrison's like an overarching look of her, what she
Well, and just so much
created.
has been written about it as a conversation that you can't just enter the conversation from the
Without
beginning.
it you can't. And you can't just, there are certain pieces, especially with like more literary fiction, that you can't talk about this book in a vacuum. You need to understand a lot of the stuff that happens around it. Similarly, like for Jane Austen, one of the reasons that when we did Persuasion, that like Will and I went through some journal articles, because you can't just talk about Jane Austen without engaging with the time period, what Jane Austen was doing, how she was different, how people are recontextualizing what marriage is versus our modern understanding, which is like we like the characters who are like, no, Papa, I won't get married, where at the time like it was a huge social movement tool, and it was a way for women to grab power, and we just don't look at it like that way. And so to be able to really give the time to that it would be necessary, I'd have to like work 20 hours a week to be able to use the other 20 hours to devote to that time that it would take to really do this well. People sometimes comment on our videos that we miss references.
Oh my gosh, but that would
Or,
take so much time. We
that
don't
we-
have the time for that. Maria has a million freaking responsibilities. Maria's literally taking care of everyone.
She is Mama Maria.
And I just like, I also just have a lot of people in my life that I like to see, you know? And so to be able to really do it would take that amount of time, and to do it justice. And so we don't, like, someone made a comment on Hyperion about how we missed a bunch of stuff about Keats specifically, like, and I didn't have, I during my master's, Keats wasn't one of the things I focused on. So unless I sat down and read a ton of stuff about Keats going into the detective story in Hyperion, there's no way for us to catch all the references. Similarly, there is in Piranesi, someone, a friend of ours, commented that we missed a whole thing from Plato, and the Cave of Memories. And the thing is, like,
yeah.
I got the comment, you obviously haven't read Plato, and I was like, I can show you multiple books of Plato I've read, but it was like 10 years ago. So like it's a lot to ask me to remember every piece of and so to engage with books to that level would just take more time, and it would be something I would love to do, but I just don't have
Also,
the time for.
People literally go to school for this. Like, we are doing YouTube videos on fantasy books and
Yeah, but people are used to like video essayists or people who are
yeah,
going
and then,
into
you know,
that.
then go watch them. I don't
But also, they're not putting out a video a week. They're just not doing it. Laura Crone, who I've referenced her videos quite a few times, is not putting out a video a week. H Bomber Guy, we're lucky if we get 1 or 2 videos a year. You know,
We get like 3 Dan Olsen, maybe 4 if he's
a
feeling
year,
saucy.
you know, so the time that it takes, and for them to be able to do that sustainably in a shorter period of time, they have to have enough subscribers that they don't have to work on anything else, and like that's just not realistic.
And that's not going to be us for a while. I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, we're just not going to explode in growth. We already had our explosion in growth. And, like, again, I'm happy with the channel's growth, all of that stuff. But, like, yeah, none of us are quitting our day jobs anytime soon over this.
Oh God, I already tried that. Granted, we're not at the view ship where I should have tried that. I already did. Well, I didn't try it. I was forced to do it. I was working 30 hours a week at a job that I couldn't get more hours at. And let me tell you, didn't help my debt. Didn't help my debt. So I had to get a big girl job, and now I'm doing a big girl job, which leaves little time to do the fun stuff like looking at people's stories, which is actually the passion.
Yep.
Yeah, it's it's all we'll see how things go. I think that again though, I think the channel is in a good place for now. We don't have any toxicity. We have a really strong core group of people that are great, and they're great to interact with. And we're able to do it. Again, the only thing I think is if we ever started reaching burnout, we might cut back on how many videos we do, or just do a live stream instead of a video. Comment responses have been fun, but we could always just put those all in one.
Yeah.
Or that kind of a thing. So we're at 2 hours and 15 minutes. Do you guys want to keep going, or are you tired?
Maria and I have a nail appointment soon.
Yeah, I have to go. My nails are very.
You guys
out.
never tell me when you have a hard out.
It's not. It's not, the thing is, I didn't. My
Oh
hard
no,
out
we have
is,
time.
Like, my hard out is
technically.
1:15.
Yeah, so we can keep going if you want.
That's my hard out. So I didn't think it was worth mentioning. But
Yeah. By the way, as a side note, I'd like to recognize the fact that this person's name day is tomorrow. Happy name day.
Happy name day.
Okay, so there's a couple more questions. One of the things I hadn't mentioned, but we don't really have time now, is I thought it would be fun for us to do a tier list of romance tropes. But like I think that could be its own video, pretty much.
We should.
Don't worry, Yanni. We're continuing. I don't know if that's how you say the name, Yanni.
Yanni.
Let's see. This is a pretty easy one, I think. Are there any books that you think stand well on their own without wishing certain elements had been written in a different way? Or do you think even books that you love have weaker sections that could have benefited from a rewrite in some way? I think this is the thing about how we approach books, is that even books we love, we talk about the things that don't work in them. Sabriel is a book I loved, but I don't love the love confession at the end. That kind of ruins part of the book. But at the same time, I enjoy the rest of the book. Like it's one of those things where you take the bad and the good, and one doesn't really affect your enjoyment of the other. And again, I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand that we're engaging in books with that way because they only see the roasts, or they're just of the opinion that if you like something, you can't see flaws with it, or you shouldn't talk about the flaws with it, and that's really not how we approach it.
Then I guess let's rephrase that. What is one book that comes to mind that is closest to having little issue, or has the smallest amount of issues that you can remember?
The thing for me is books that I've loved, that I've thought were near perfect, I have then gone and read the 1-star reviews.
Oh yeah.
And they're saying stuff, and a lot of times I go, yeah, you're right. I believe books are more like a work in progress, where the idea of a perfect book doesn't exist and is actually unhelpful to engage with.
Yeah.
And that what happens is eventually you just get to the point where you go, I could fiddle with this forever, but I gotta stop at some point.
Yeah.
I'm done. And so I think most authors would look at their books and tell you places where they wish they could have gone back and spent more time, but they would also admit that they could have just done it forever and just never fucking published, because perfection is a weird standard. Like Spinning Silver for me is a book that hits all of my sweet spots. But I acknowledge that for a lot of people, it is quite flawed and has some issues. And as much as I would still argue it's one of the better books we've ever read on this podcast, both my co-hosts, back when they were young and naive and hadn't read a lot, claimed they wouldn't have finished that fucking book and thought it was kind of boring. And you know what? Fair enough. It's a very slow book. It has more point of views than it needs, but I will stand on that hill and say that I love all of the point of views, and for me, they work. But from an actual objective point of view, could we have cut what's his face? Yeah, we probably could have cut him, you know? And so
I agree. I mean, even something like the Scorpio Races, which is such a tight book, there are a few things that could be improved. The one that I think, and it's funny because I was thinking about this last night because I was thinking about the question, and it's not a book, but the movie Gladiator is a perfect movie. I would change nothing about it. I would not improve anything. I would not take anything away. It is a perfect movie.
Okay.
But like, oh, well, you didn't watch it forever. And like, I'm not even sure you've watched The Godfather, so you don't really know a lot about...
She has watched
cinema.
The
Godfather multiple times.
You know who hasn't watched The Godfather is me.
There's a whole part of the Barbie movie That's for you, William.
No, I know that's the joke I keep making. That's why I keep making that joke is because it's in the Barbie movie.
Oh, really? I haven't seen
It's-
anything
it's-
about the
I
movie.
actually
It's
didn't
so
know that was a
fucking
thing
funny.
women had to deal with.
Oh,
The
it's
Godfather.
so. When I tell you, I was sitting there, I died laughing so hard.
That's funny.
Like, there's so many things that just hit home for me on a personal level.
I have not watched it yet. Is it good? I'm assuming.
I haven't
yes.
watched it yet either.
I loved it. I loved it. It was so much fun. It's not a perfect film, but it's a fun film. And it definitely would be a comfort watch when I need something to put on in the background and just like smile at. Like
I should get around to it, but I haven't yet, because I just don't
know.
watch TV
I
or
used to
movies
be-
anymore.
I know. I used to be the film, like, you know, that annoying
Aficionado.
film person that like tells you too much about something and
Mhm.
like is like, oh my god, have you seen this? Oh, what about this? And then like you're like, no, I don't really care about talking about that. That was me. And I have I would literally be at the movie theater every like weekend when I was not with Maria. I couldn't afford that shit. But when I was on my own before, I was at the movie theater every week for at least one movie. Yeah, no. That is not financially supportable, nor do I care anymore.
Okay, so I thought a fun interlude,
Uh-huh.
and I haven't passed this by Maria or Katie, and so
Lord.
I may have to cut this later.
Oh boy.
But if okay, so
We're not showing our boobs.
backstory. One of the things that happened early on in me and Maria's friendship is at the time I had a movie review podcast with my cousin. It was a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Right, it was called Conversations, and it was like she had joined us a couple times, and we really loved her there, and it was a lot of fun. But the channel really never, like, we put out as many videos as we did now, and it got like
did you
90
really?
subscribers. We put out a ton of videos, and it just never went anywhere. The other thing that would often happen is that Maria and me, and it was with my cousin Jake, would get off topic and talk about like sex and other topics a lot. And so before this podcast, I decided to pull one of those and show it to you guys.
Shut
So,
up. Oh my
I'm
god, are
gonna
you gonna show
see-
what I think you're gonna show?
I don't know. And again, I watched it and I
You're
think
gonna
it's fine,
see
but if
Baby Maria.
it's so weird looking at, like, you're so much younger. It's really not like in a bad way or a good way or whatever, but just like you're such a baby. Okay, so hopefully
I
this
used to
should
watch a-
work.
I was watching. Oh yeah, I watched a few of these, and I was like, "This is a cute idea."
And this is literally when Ant-Man came out. So what was that, like 10 years ago at this point?
I don't know. If
Yeah,
that
it's
was it a decade?
9 years ago. And so I'm not sure if the audio is gonna play. This is gonna just be
Killer
process.
turkey pot pies.
Is that what they're calling them these days?
Do you know I sent a guy a picture of my turkey pot pies and he was like, "Oh, gross." Oh wait, no, I thought that was a vagina pic at first. I was like, dude, I told you I was cooking.
He's like, I know. That's what I thought you meant. You're cooking. I did that once.
You sent a girl a dick pic. And
No,
she
no,
thought it was a hot
no.
dog?
It was. Yes.
I sent one once. She's like, "Why are you showing me a Pringles can?" I was like,
William.
"What? It's true. It's round. It's green.
Nicest fucking theaters that I've been in
Yeah,
in a while. Holy
cheap,
shit.
too. Like it was really
Cheap,
good quality.
Reclining, double reclining. That means the back goes back and the seat goes up. Make your blowjob jokes. It's fine. We accept them all.
Well, some of us accept.
Some of us accept them easier than others.
No, we don't accept them at all. 0% on both.
I'm an innocent flower. I don't know what you're talking about.
We're probably not gonna let her back on. I'll be honest. And
That's so mean.
He's so mean.
funny.
I
I
don't know
may
why
just-
I'm friends with you.
don't either.
I still don't.
I love it. You don't get.
You are so easily distracted.
It's erotic. Doesn't it feel good?
It does feel good, actually.
It does. It's
Why do
amazing.
you have?
I like the jingle in the
I have more
background.
touch down here.
What male porn star does he look like? What's his name?
Oh fuck.
Fucking A, what's his
Why do
name?
you guys
Yeah,
know
I
the
don't
names
know.
of male porn
I don't, but
stars?
We don't. That's what we just said.
It's just this one, the bald guy. He always plays the fucking bald guy.
He's
in
the
it.
ball. He's
I noticed
British, isn't he?
because
I do
Nice
have two
one.
turkey pot pies that we could pop in the oven.
you got a picture of that.
What? That would be
Oh,
awful.
don't.
I would love pearls. Look
What
at
have
this.
you
Look at
got?
this. Look at this. beautiful.
If it
but
was
pearls,
pearls,
are awesome.
Yeah,
Joke
you love
created
pearl
it.
necklaces.
I
But
love-
that's
I
not
wear
the-
Well, yeah, that's where I was gonna go. Never mind.
Would it surprise you to know that I have over like 8 strands of pearls in my?
No, actually, I
in my
can see that.
jewelry
You like that.
box?
a lot
you
more
seem like
now.
that kind of a classy. Like,
I am
just-
super
Strands and
classy.
strands of pulp.
Just
All over the place, dripping all over. Like I could just grab it and it's just all over the place.
it's like Spider-Man.
Go.
It was me and 4 guys.
What?
Nothing like that. Wait. Everybody was.
Start out strong, baby.
We were. It was just like chilling, playing drinking games.
Yeah, sure.
And the one guy goes, "Have you guys seen the video where this Western guy comes on this Asian girl for like 5 minutes, and then she's like choking on it. She's like, ugh, and it's like slapping her, like it's in her eyes. She can't see, and she's like crying, and he's just going, and you're like,
doesn't.
Not only fake, but I'm aware of the series that made that. They're actually a fantastic organization. I think Bang Bros actually runs them. I don't click because it's stupid
Boys
to
are
me.
gross.
I don't.
It's stupid to me. It's
Boys
like
dumb. Who
it's
wants to
just
see an Asian
fucking-
chick?
Oh my god.
He's the same.
Nothing's changed.
oh, it's nearly 11. I have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, motherfuckers.
Me too.
Nothing's changed. Are you making
So,
him snip
I wouldn't take
your
the bang. I
fingers?
wouldn't
I'm not
do
gonna
it.
take
I wouldn't
it.
do it.
I'm not gonna do it.
I wouldn't do it.
I'd never do it.
I wouldn't do it.
You guys are just making sex jokes the whole time.
Please note, we actually did watch and talk about Ant-Man. Like, we
Oh,
actually
yeah, no.
did. You can't tell. This was just the stuff he cut
This is
out of
just
that other
us
video.
getting off topic and talking about it. Yeah, I have a bunch of I pulled a bunch of them and I made a bunch of them unpublic. But maybe I'll post up more on like the Patreon or the Discord or something like that. I think that could be fun. But yeah, no, that was us as little babes. You look so much younger. You're like just
I
such a like a baby
know.
face.
Someone says, so you're telling me Maria was always this iconic? Sounds real. Yes. You're
Of course you would highlight
That
that,
is
you
great.
little preening thing.
I now
Her
have to
and
put all my
Jake
pearls.
would both like because I would
That's
have to
what
edit
I thought
these
you were gonna
videos.
show. That's what I thought you were gonna show is her flipping her hair back and forth in that one video where she just keeps doing it.
It was great.
It's so funny because the thing about it is I would edit it, and the thing is Maria and Jake both preen so much when they're just looking at themselves. They'll just be like,
I have no shame. Will
Yeah.
used to say this like I was supposed to be like, no, I don't preen. No, absolutely I fucking preen. Are you kidding me? I've got great hair. I got
That's
nice
actually
hair.
very
it
true.
Swooshes. It
That's-
swooshes nice.
Okay, so do we want to end it there or do we want to do some more?
I don't know. How are you
Are you
guys?
just organizing your pearls now?
I have to put them back in the jewelry box.
Maria
get them
has so
out very
many
quickly.
pearls.
I do.
Yeah,
I
no,
have-
Maria is a hoarding magpie. She literally has an entire drawer of glittery and then pearls and stuff. Maria has so many pearls that Maria's given me several strands of pearls,
Yeah, because you have to wear pearls,
which is
otherwise
not
they die.
normal. What
Ooh,
did you
this is
say?
very
I have to
nice
wear them
grip.
before you die?
No, you have to wear pearls, otherwise they die. They need
Well,
contact
no,
with
you
skin
taught
and the
me you can
oils.
keep them in the same area, and as long as
Okay.
they're touching each other, it's
Yes.
fine.
That's so weird thing to know. Yeah, let's go ahead and call it there. I think that was a good like little end.
And since Pumpkin and Marmalade got their own time to shine, God dang it, everyone appreciate Sasha. He's well behaved in the background most times.
Sasha's so cute.
Are you cute? Are you cute? Are you cute? Give me your ball. Give me your ball. See, he's a good boy.
He's
He's
like he
such
very
a
much
good
wants
boy.
to play.
Yes,
But
he does.
yeah, no, I'll have to vet some of the more of the other ones, make sure we didn't say anything too embarrassing, and then I'll probably give them to the Discord or Patreon. So join the Patreon if you would like to see more of Babyface
sorry.
Will and Maria. All right, we love you, our parasocial darlings. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you for being here.
Thank you
for 10,000 subscribers.
Yes, thank you very much for your I don't know, you guys are all really quite nice. So thanks for being, not jerks.
Again, we have a really great community in terms of the lack of toxicity and stuff.
really
And like the stream, that always helps. All right, we will talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye, guys.